Citadel, I don't know if any of you have got social media open at the moment, but trust me, has some opinions. Heading into our grand finals here. The thing of it, if VPs play the same level that they did during the previous match, that Citadel will be 4-0ing. I won't make any comment, but Nova, trust me, is indeed saying these things, and it's amusing to look at.
Well, let's head into our first ban phase coming on through, and Virtus.pro are going to be banning out that Jeff, which has proven to be a huge win condition for them going up against both Citadel and Na'Vi, as Citadel Gaming remove that Ultron targeting Phi in terms of being pocketed on either the Human Torch or Sparker if he decides to opt for that Star-Lord.
Yep, great thing about the Jeff ban as well. He doesn't need the Symbiotic Shenanigans team up, but it does essentially force the Venom ban later on, which Virtus.pro might have to use their simultaneous ban slot on, unless they're comfortable with allowing that to potentially be on the cards here for Saipe, so they don't have to keep that one in mind.
Well, on the card, so too, is going to be the 2-2-2 dive composition with that one-sided save onto the Ultron, also meaning that Virtus.pro don't get to use the Ultron to counter the dive coming on through. They do go for that burn on Star-Lord, however, as things like the Human Torch, Star-Lord for themselves, and Invisible Woman is still going to be in play. Potentially, they try and either outdive Citadel Gaming, or they go for a flyer so that they can scout the dive, figure out the rotation that it comes through on. As we can see, Virtus.pro are going to be removing Human Torch because of that Ultron save from Citadel. Citadel, though, removing the Invis Woman so that there is absolutely nothing to be able to pocket those flyers outside of potentially that Luna Snow. But that just means that the Luna is going to be a dive target.
Citadel with her own Protect here. Definitely seems like Virtus.pro have moved away from a bully Poly angle, and well, they're going to make sure that Poly does have access to that Captain America. This is very similar to what we saw Virtus.pro run on their own draft previously. Now it's the last ban for VP.
Yeah, last ban for them, and it is indeed going to be targeting both Tanuki and Melio, who can play the Psylocke to an absolute superb level, which definitely tells us the kind of composition that Virtus.pro are going to be looking to play, and it is going to involve flyers, as well as make sure too that Poly on that Captain America doesn't have a Psylocke and a Luna Snow and an Emma Frost alongside him to mean that the soft dive becomes a hard dive every single time the hit is called.
Okay, there's the ban on the Rocket Raccoon. They don't want to go up against the undivables here. However, I do think that getting rid of a potential undivable composition does mean that there's more chance to get value out of a Symbiotic Shenanigans. One of the reasons why the Symbiotic Shenanigans does have like a limitation on it is that it is range based. And with how JoJo often plays this kind of rogue backline off-angle healing from the Shark, it can make it a little bit more difficult to get value out of that.
It does mean, though, that Citadel Gaming are going to get a one-sided rocket, so they're going to have one-sided BRB, but also one-sided Cosmic Yawn Amplifier. So if it goes down to a fight between, say, two Phoenixes as your duelists, one side having that damage boost with the 25% coming through from Cosmic Yawn Amplifier means that you have a much easier time of being able to deal with the Endsong Inferno. Plus, if we actually see Virtus.pro go for the Star-Lord, having that heal tick per second from Cosmic Yawn Amplifier is going to be more than enough, I'm sure, in a triple strategist line potentially, to heal through Galactic Legends pressure too.
All right, heading into Bin T'Challa, the EMEA Grand Finals is finally here. Virtus.pro Ascendant, once again risen for months and months at the large launch of this game. We thought they were the best team in the world. They missed out on Guangzhou, but they're heading to Atlanta, and their seed and their cash prize will be determined right here.
Citadel Gaming, hold on a minute, we're rolling out triple Vanguard, triple Strategist. Navik's gonna go for a Strange Portal, but there's no one who's really vulnerable outside of that Ultron for you to be able to collapse onto. It does mean, though, that Virtus.pro have been able to seat themselves onto the objective, as we can see Tanuki on the outside looking for a target to pick off.
Yeah, Tanuki just doing their best to evade right now and stall the capture of this point. Actually, 3-2-1 for Citadel here, so they still have a Phoenix coming through from Melio. Ken and Alex are going to be these evasive strategists, but that early pick-off onto Ken meant a huge amount of staying power from Citadel was already taken away. Close to a first cap here, RVP, but they're unable to fully secure it. Melio brought back by the BRB. Time to re-enter now. With the flames of the Phoenix behind them, Virtus.pro get the first cap.
Yeah, Virtus.pro get the first cap and potentially the first ultimate too. Given the fact that Sparker is so close to Dance of the Butterflies, it's going to be up to Alex to race the Rage of Ultron and provide the sustainability for Citadel to live it.
All right, Fire looking for the entry here of Enzo. Doesn't want to actually exchange fire just yet. Just wondering where Citadel are going to be coming from. It's all about that wraparound and collapse. Tanuki taken down by Fincy. Sentient seized and destroyed. Sparker notes out Melio. Coming in close with the Dance of the Butterflies between Ken and Melio. There's no capacity for patty cake, and so the patty cake is crushed.
Yeah, Virtus.pro very quickly pulling at the threads of Citadel Gaming's angle so that the dive is never able to group up and pick one specific target, which means that the dive has been somewhat abandoned. Tanuki is going to go on to counter Psylocke measures instead. Over to that Winter Soldier. If Virtus.pro try and play aggressive and overextend into Citadel space once more, they'll get punished for it because of the CC.
All right, Sparker once again noting the approach here of Citadel Gaming. They're finally coming up towards some of these. Tanuki on the Winter Soldier, certainly a newer look. It's Alex around the back with the Rage of Ultron. Enzo is mostly avoided when using that Feast of the Abyss, and so Virtus.pro seem unscathed by the two ultimates invested. Enzo's disengagement, not going to be pretty. Fincy thinks that it actually fully uggers, actually. Polly taken off the map. No chance given for a re-engagement. There will be a quick re-engage coming through from the side of Saipe with the Eternal Bond, making sure that Virtus.pro continue to have all the space they need on the point there. Touch more as well. Citadel play around the outside with the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier. There's no means to take that one down quickly. But what about a multitude of stuns? First, you look at the pretty woman, and then you gaze into the abyss itself. The Eye of Agamotto opens, and the door for Citadel Gaming is surely closed. Alex's healing remains, yes, but he should be easily chased on down. Saipe's been found around the back. Enzo found exactly the right moment as Melio gets in close, starts to stack up melee. Sparks and Virtus.pro find it turned upon them.
Citadel will finally be able to find the point flip with Polly as well running into Virtus.pro spawns to just deter Dreadrow from being able to get into position and provide primary healing coming on through from the Joyful Splash. We could well see Citadel with control of these angles now turn this from 0 to 100% as long as they can scout out the rotation of both the Psylocke and the Venom. Spark of the Dance of the Butterflies finds Enzo, who holds the angle and pushes him back, and we can see now Alex just waiting for that Rage of Ultron for when Virtus.pro get aggressive and can't disengage.
Unidirectional push forces out the healing prowess of the Rage of Ultron, but VP, the disengage is fairly clean here. It means that Alex is going to have a little bit of space to work with up on the high ground, but Tanuki's too far away to really have an impact on this fight. They try to go in for the freedom charge, a little bit of additional sustainability. Tanuki and Fincy walk away with their lives intact for now. An attempted eat, I don't think it's going to come on through instead. Drijo once again prioritizing getting healing out on the remainder of the team. Enzo gets it done once more. The Feast of the Abyss is an absolute all-you-can-eat buffet of bear meat.
Freedom charge, though, from Polly was exhausted, making sure that Sparker's Dance of the Butterflies didn't take Tanuki down. Tanuki, with the Kraken Impact, is going to hold a big win condition for Citadel Gaming coming into this next fight. They don't have a defensive now other than the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier against this Galactic Legend coming on through from Phi. Saipe with the Eternal Bond too just has all of that sustainability to let Virtus.pro take the fight over to the objective itself.
Fight on the objective. Virtus.pro would certainly enjoy that. But it's going to be a Feast of the Abyss to open up here from Nevix. Tanuki tries to dodge away, utilizing the Kraken Impact. Prioritizes with Captain America. Can we try and chase down Fincy? The Collingwood are almost finished. In the last second, Tanuki gets it done. And Nevix finds the play with 5 noted. Can't dodge away. Goes back into all the healing offered by Saipe and turns it around themselves. Out comes the Galactic Legend. Catches Alex with no healing. Looks towards the sky. Tanuki's up there waiting shyly. And Enzo's elsewhere here. The Galactic Legend easily tears through Symbiotic Flesh as Polly dodges on off to get themselves a quick heal. Virtus.pro back in control, and overtime is ticking. A return here, I believe, from Alex, having used the portal, and Fincy as well. So all of the reinforcements are going to be coming through in no time at all. Tanuki down and Ken as well. Is there going to be enough healing here for Citadel? I don't think they really have the health pool to try and make this one work.
Potentially they can turn it with Feast of the Abyss. Sparker thinks that it's still winnable maybe for Citadel. And out comes the Dance of the Butterflies. Feast does mean that Enzo will be able to live, but that is not going to give any other sustainability to his team. Citadel Gaming, the pick coming in on Alex before Rage of Ultron could be built up with that Galactic Legend was the thing that allowed Virtus.pro to take Warrior Fall so handily, as it meant that Alex had to swap off of the Ultron, giving up 100% of the ult to channel 50% into the Eye of Agamotto and set up for that portal play. And like you said, they just had no sustainability even with the bodies on the objective.
Yeah, just a slow attritional perishing of Citadel Gaming here. And this is why we often see Star-Lord be the new vogue of bans, with Ultron being as powerful as he is right now. Still struggles against that hit scan prowess.
I mean, Sparker too on the Psylocke has been an absolute menace for Citadel to have to deal with. If they'd just been able to win that first fight, I think, especially if they'd rolled out with this composition, they would have been able to keep much more of a track on both the Psylocke and the Star-Lord. It got to the point where Virtus.pro just had so much point percentage ahead of Citadel Gaming, it really was just a matter of building up ultimates and snowballing over your opponent. This time around, though, Citadel will continue on the composition they finished with, so we've already got that Winter Soldier and Phoenix out on the board, over 50% of their first ultimates. Virtus.pro going to be cut off before they can rotate over to the objective.
All right, already Dre. Forced down to the ground, could look for a big eat here. Gets more allies than enemies. I believe it's only Enzo in their mouth right now. Could be a fairly easy rescue, and yeah, Tanuki's there with Rota Stern. Out comes the Feast of the Abyss, an attempt to dodge from Tanuki. Can't quite get out of the way in time. Cellular Corrosion grabs them. Polly towards the back has found Saipe, and Alex has been resurrected already. An attempted Eye of Agamotto will only stun Enzo, but he dropped on the wrong side of the wall, and so follow-up wasn't that easy to get. It's down to Sparker with the dashes of the butterflies to try and make that one work. Alex gets in close and personal, has to dodge for Cellular Corrosion of the Venom. There's so much damage coming through onto the Ultron right now, and Nevix's Dark Predations finally find their man. The Iron Fist is here from Tanuki. Every time he brings it out, he tells me in chat, trust me, Iron Fist. And I'm yet to see the results, my guy.
Oh, yeah. I think I trust the Cloak and Dagger landing that blind more. This poor Tanuki is just absolutely detonated. He at least can put some pressure on things like the Star-Lord up in the sky, but I mean, it's going to be a very short-lived appearance from Iron Fist. Over to the Phoenix, Tanuki goes. Melio onto the Adam too to have Soulbind to walk into this next fight as Virtus.pro have the angles to set up. Nevix is just waiting for the Vanguards to go onto point before he hits the vulnerable back line.
Enzo already got Saipe as well. Fincy plays behind the statue of Bast, the Panther God. Rains down damage from above, and the pocket's good from Drudro. You can see that Joyful Splash just rolling on through the Freedom Charge on the other side. Polly wants Drudro so badly, but a healing pool is left on point to sustain these Vanguards, while a cheeky little eat from Drudro is going to be a real difficulty to deal with if you're an Adam Warlock. Well, you know what? It's a little bit easier. If Tanuki comes through from the sky and just sets alight the Shark, Tanuki gets in close and personal. The best melee DPS in the game has arrived, and the duelist reigns supreme.
Not just the best melee DPS, but also with a Mantis 12% pocket boost. So every single time those blue arrows are floating above Tanuki's person, his shots are going to be extra lethal. Virtus.pro, though, will rotate so they don't have to deal with all of that incoming damage. They've got the ultimates. They want to go quickly. They don't want to ally Citadel Gaming. A little bit of poke attrition to build up the Stratus ultimates to counter it. Out comes the Ensong Inferno. Dodges the Eye of Agamotto and the Soul Resurgence too from Citadel. Means that everybody who got caught by it is fully alive and healed through.
All right, Fate of both worlds. It's not enough to save Melio. Does have a Cocoon Revival, though, to bring themselves back in an emergency. Waiting for the remainder of the team to say whether or not this one is won. Still going to bring themselves back, though. Knows that this could still be swung either way if Virtus.pro decide to invest. Sparker slain by Tanuki. The frags are coming thick and fast for Tanuki on the Phoenix.
Yeah, but can Melio find value now with the Karmic Revival? It's going to have to be the instant revives upon the activation of the ultimate rather than the 10-second window that accompanies it, given the fact that Sparker and Fi can both track down the Adam's whereabouts and take him out without the res.
Our enemies are here.
Tanuki with a damage boost up close and personal to the Venom. Nice soul bond used there to just distribute the damage amongst Citadel Gaming. No one falls from the mortal coil for now. They shall grip to it with grated teeth and white knuckles. In comes the Dredro 8. It's walking towards the back. Melio's already been taken down, and that Cocoon Revival's not available. All the other strategists have been taken in. Dredro needs to dodge away quickly, quietly, and best as they can. Out they go with no means of sustaining themselves. Polly uses the Freedom Charge because they believe believe it's winnable. Enzo and Polly is a duo. One of the ancient legends of EMEA possibly brought to life before your eyes. Saipa can come back here with the Eternal Bond. The health pack hasn't respawned yet. It's going to be Virtus Pro back in control, but Melio's opened up the portal to return in short order. Gives up their ultimate, stops the resurrection, but Virtus Pro have been absolutely destroyed here on the engagement. It's going to be a mad dash to try and touch. They finally get it done. Out comes the Galactic Legend. The healing behind it comes through from the Eternal Bond. And there's extra damage taken by the Venom. Look, floating above it. Oh, the Ensong Inferno. I don't think it manages to actually touch the ground. Melee is going to come back on the Hela of all things. On the off angle. Fi's taking so much damage. A dance of the butterflies as well. Fi's just catching hit scan poke from everywhere. A shooting gallery set up in favor of Citadel Gaming as the point's still in their control. Sparker hangs out around the back while Fincy contemplates for usage of a freedom charge. It might be now or never, but given that so much has already been taken, they'll save it for the third point, surely. Sparky gets in with the whooshy finger hold to instantly eviscerate Ken, but Citadel Gaming, they'll walk away with a 1-1.
Oh my goodness. Legend has it that Salah found Polly just in the Antarctic and actually had to fully pour him out a la Steve Rogers because he might just be Captain America. That freedom charge to stall for Citadel Gaming, they gave up. They had so much faith, by the way, in the fact that Polly would be able to win that. They gave up the entirety of Karmic Revival because Melio was the one who went down and Melio was the one who had to swap to the Strange to be able to portal the team back in time. That could have gone absolutely awfully for Citadel Gaming if it hadn't worked out.
Oh, yeah, that could have gone so wrong so quickly. But it's all about these calculated risks. And like Salah said, one of the things about this team, Citadel Gaming, is that they really do trust their opinions in the moment and the seniority they have from having competed for so long.
I mean, Melio too, when he comes back on the Hela of all things as well, it's overtime. Virtus Pro's entire attention is focused on the point rather than the surroundings of it, which means that no one's looking at the Hela. Uncontested, yes, the health bars are fairly chunky. She's probably not going to be able to find the actual eliminations, but she's still going to be able to contribute a fair chunk of damage and displace bodies with the Soul Drainer, including that Psylocke. Now, though, we're back over towards that Adam. Citadel Gaming going to be wrapping around the high ground of that point to make it even harder for Sparker and Finzy to find an inroad.
Polly watches the approach. The freedom charge popped here by Fincy, dragging Virtus Pro forth. Look at those health bars filled with blue. And Alex needs to rebuff them, using the raw healing here of the Fate of Both Worlds. A Sonic Seduction counter-strike from Nevix, taking a bunch of damage. And Strijo's ready to go. Oh, Tanuki's got so many sparks. They're just going to instantly nuke the Jeff from orbit. Strijo falling low and can't really find the edge easily. Polly chases them down. Tanuki once again up close and personal. The Ensong Inferno declared. A dodge away from the impact site allows for Fi to be able to slink away into the back lines. Ken managed to find them in the midst of all of that. A rogue Mantis marauding in the back, and well, they found some booty indeed. Quite the prize to grab. The Phoenix Alex brawls on through. The damage of the Luna is not to be underestimated as the Captain Americas charge after each other. A battle for freedom is won by Polly.
I mean, Polly has the upper hand in the fact that he has the Mantis and the Luna Pocket. He's got the Idol Aura. This Captain America, every single heal he absorbs from Alex is gaining 135% efficiency. Virtus Pro, we're going to be moving over to the Amethyst. We've had enough of the Captain America shenanigans. If Polly gets aggressive, into the Carbon Crush he goes.
Into the Crusher, potentially. Fine, needs a little bit of support over here on this angle, but Tanuki exactly the same. Oh, messes up the disengage. The map knowledge failing temporarily. Can it make it through the door? Coming out close and personal. It's going to be a solo race here for Tanuki, but Spark is more than happy to carve through the offerings given by the perfect human. Adam Warlock simply serves the team up on a silver platter, and Spark is hungry with cutlery in both hands and a smile on his face.
Virtus Pro should be able to deal with the Captain America now as well, because Polly, when he rotates, is going to be about just attention draw. Finzy's going to have to turn and look at the Cap. The rest of the team gets to move forward and put pressure onto either the backline or deal with that dive. It's all about scouting that rotations as Melio has to build up another Karmic Revival. Does have the Soulbind though, so Citadel Gaming are going to get aggressive and just move into the space that Virtus Pro wanted to hold into, making that backline a little bit safer from the dive. Out comes the Soul Resurgence, damage boost, a Feast of the Abyss is going to be able to find a connection onto a backline potentially. No, but he uses it to dodge the Ensong Inferno connection.
Tanuki coming in close towards Fi here. There's not really... Oh, okay. They just blow each other up with sparks. It happens. Dredro's going to have time to send the Adam Warlock off the map due to the lacking mobility of Melio. And while there may be a few vengeful shots sent from elsewhere, it's down to Alex to try and hold this one down. However, stalling might not be in favor of Citadel right now because they're not in control of the point. Virtus Pro is still accruing percentage. But hey, Polly's arrived. The big bad boss is here and he's only got 90 HP, so off he pops.
Virtus Pro are putting Fi over towards the Human Torch too, because they're in control of that space. They're going to be able to stall the approach from Citadel Gaming. The longer they get stalled out in those chokes, the more damage and Precious Sparker can output, and Fi can spam entirely unimpeded as Tanuki has to break every single bit of terrain, understanding that Nevix would be holding up close and personal with the Feast of the Abyss and the Dance of the Butterflies. There's simply so much damage. The Soul Bond was there, but they're still going to lose one of their players. It's the Adam at least, so the Self Cocoon comes on through, and Citadel forward march with all 6.
Okay, quick disengage here from Citadel. They're going to try and wait out the usage of the Eternal Bond. Tanuki flames above it all, runs down onto Nevix, who easily gets healed on that by the Eternal Bond. Up close and personal again! What a sedation! Spark is here as well. There's so much pressure on the backline right now of Citadel, but the cross heal is working out well. Enzo knows there's no chance for all that healing to come on through, so sustains himself with a Feast of the Abyss. Tanuki getting in closer, melee battle against Captain America. Fincy knows that it's time to make a mad dash for the health pack. And Citadel Gaming still aren't in control of the point. They flip it eventually, and Virtus Pro now have to make a decision as to whether or not they try and fight this one out. They've still got Sparker in the backline, and Fincy is there too. But against a triple healer, it can be a little bit difficult to try and convert.
It's winnable.
Season
They got
opening.
Polly.
Coming in with the Flame Cyclones. They want to try and deal. Oh, Melio's just going to burn. Melio is going to burn on top of it all. Just turned to a cinder after resurrecting Polly. Brings back the carry, and the sacrifice is there. Alex is going to reinforce all of this here with a fade of both worlds, and Cypher's already fallen on down. So as we reach 80% here, Citadel still in control.
Yeah, Citadel putting all of their faith on their Captain America, stalling long enough once again for a portal and a Freedom Charge and Endsong Inferno to be built up, and it's enough. Melio looks like he's actually just going to try and portal onto Virtus Pro to try and cut off the engagement. Oh, he might go for Saipe because of the Eternal Bond on the Cloak and Dagger. If he can catch the Eternal Bond as it dashes, that would be huge!
Okay, gonna force out the iframe already and the Terror Cape as well, so I can't be used as a follow. It's just so confusing here. There's no way out for the Cloak and Dagger, but Alex and Ken have already fallen away elsewhere. No resurrection available here for Melio, of course, who's playing on the Doctor Strange instead. Citadel doing it without healing, but Tanuki brought his own to the party. The Endsong Inferno refreshes the health bar. Polly's taken down. 5 fences off the map by Ken! Unreal play! The force physics, the force of nature that is Citadel's backline. Ken is indomitable, Ken is intractable, and Ken is invincible. Virtus Pro gonna try and nom their way out of this one. A quick double strategist ultimate on the point for unlimited sustainability. And Dredro knows they can't go for an E because they got to keep this one contested. Virtus Pro come back as a full team now. They've lost out on Dredro and Saipe. They're playing on borrowed time. Attrition's not in their favor here as Fincy floats away in Citadel. They force everyone off the point and turn it around on being into T'Challa.
Goodness. What a series! I mean, that was map number 1. Oh my goodness, that was map number 1! Oh, so when we talk about, you know, how good a player Polly is, we pulled up the stats, right? We said this is the damage that he's done, this is the amount of times that he's been picked. It's not just that he brings to the table, it's the call-outs too. Like, the guy is the IGL, he tends to lead the team when it comes to going for the calls of the 3-2-1s. I would gather that he was likely the one as well who called to go for that teleport play onto the Cloak and Dagger. It was either him or Melio. But either way, whoever came up with that strategy to just absolutely annihilate the Cloak so that they didn't have Eternal Bond, that Virtus Pro didn't get to use Eternal Bond onto the objective and come through with the Dance of Butterflies, stacking all of the additional damage from 5 other players plus a Cloak Terror Cape on the back of that last dash. It would have been Citadel having to give up the point and allowing Virtus Pro the flip. And then they would have had Strange Portal advantage and likely Virtus Pro win the overall fight.
Did Polly just intimidate Fincy into Ivagamotoing through pure sprinting aura? What can I do when Polly's approaching me? But oh, there's no
menacingly. He's is just approaching menacingly. Oh my goodness. I mean, the comic revivals though, like Virtus Pro, they had a really good game plan into the Atom Warlock. You can tell that both with the Psylocke and the Human Torch, they had such a good rid of that. But look at this. There's absolutely nowhere for Saipe to be able to go. They timed it perfectly too, because the point percentage that Citadel were on, Virtus Pro, you know, like they're coming. Hey, my cloak and dagger is being jumped upon. They just teleported directly onto me. But there's absolutely nothing that they can do, because if they turn around and try and peel for the cloak and dagger, they give up objective control. And they would lose the fight, lose the point regardless. What they have to do is hope that by walking forward and taking the fight 2 point when 2 vanguards are missing, they're going to be able to find the eliminations and stall long enough for that cloak and dagger to actually come through with Eternal Bond, which does end up happening. But crucially for Citadel, they built up Invis Boundary, and they're able to put it on point, and everybody lives.
I mean, part of that Invis Boundary is that Ken managed to use that portal that was used to ambush the Cloak and Dagger to get back after being picked as well. There are layers upon layers upon layers. It's ogre level strategies here for the side of Citadel Gaming. We'll see if they have any more in store after this break. I do not envy those who will make tier lists and power rankings heading into Atlanta after witnessing how close that was and how clutch Citadel can be when it comes to these wild domination fights. But Citadel are a beast that is essentially destructive on domination. It has been one of Virtus Pro's weaker map types historically, but now Virtus Pro can decide where we go in our best of 7 series, Mox.
Yeah, I think, unironically, Virtus Pro could very realistically actually decide to take us to Convoy and then ban Strange and get not just value from banning Strange to stop the second fight portal recontest from defensive halves, but also stop Citadel from being able to have anyone swap to Strange, and just off of trust from the stall potential from their Vanguard line, keep those fights going. Because if Strange had been out of play on those domination rounds, Virtus Pro took it.
Midtown's the choice here, Mox. Virtus Pro coming off a victory there against Na'Vi, probably feeling that they might be able to run similar strategies, but remember that I believe that Na'Vi banned a bunch of Vanguards against them previously.
Yes, there goes the EMEA ban coming on through against Citadel, so we're still going to be seeing a lot of those Vanguard pressures coming on through from Virtus Pro side, as they're going to be able to secure one-sided EMEA, which now means that if Poly's Captain America or Venom or whatever Vanguard Poly wants to choose from is now going to be coming under so much more pressure off of things like the Carbon Crush, which I think is very smart. It means that Virtus Pro don't have to burn 4 bans against Poly, they simply have a counter equipped to deal with it.
Yeah, but we can just give 1 ban over and 1 protect, and we'll try and deal with Poly that way. Beside of Citadel Gaming, they're going for the El Clasico, going down the list of tertiary strategists and trying to remove all of this potential portal shenanigan, of course, from Virtus Pro. They do not want to see Doricho eat another portal cast.
Yeah, no more shenanigans with the stopping Doctor Strange portaling. As it turns out, an apple a day keeps the Doctor away, but so too does It's Jeff ultimate per round coming on out from Dridro as the Groot gets removed. This is to stop strategies like Groot strangling Prison combined with either Kraken Impact or Hand of Khonshu when Citadel Gaming try and go on their attacking round and break the triple Vanguard, triple strategist hold that Virtus Pro are no doubt planning.
Yeah, it's going to be in the back of the mind for everybody. They're going to match the Adam ban as well as Ultron's taken off the field. Just going to potentially nerf the Human Torch of Phi. Still have the Star-Lord in rotation here, which can be a little bit troublesome.
You know what's still in play too, Harry? Loki Mantis, which is another reason why Virtus Pro removed the group. Vibrant Vitality needs to be chopped in half.
Okay, one-sided Ultron as well. A lot of focus on the strategists here from Citadel Gaming to be able to forge the kind of composition that they want. Virtus Pro now going to be able to get their last ban and protect. They might need to get rid of a Venom here just to try and shut down symbiotic shenanigans, which is going to be very useful in the tight spaces of Midtown.
Yeah, though you do have Emma, which means that you can use the Carbon Crush, and indeed Storm is going to get removed, as that is going to be fully targeting Citadel Gaming's Jeff Nato composition, remember?
Yep, getting rid of that combination. It was pretty brutal for Virtus Pro to try and deal with previously, and it's going to be the Invisible Woman who is going to be rolling up. Maybe we'll ban the Luna here to try and make sure that if it is going to be a 2-strategist composition from the side of Virtus Pro, they can't run what many people would say is probably the best double at the moment of the Luna and the Invis.
Yeah, although if you do that, you let a duelist through. So Phoenix is actually going to be removed because Mag was also still open. And Phoenix and Mag and Invis all being able to use things like Endsong Inferno plus Meteor M and the slow capabilities of Invis Boundary when combined with either of them, Citadel Gaming with their strategist ultimates would not be able to stand up to the task of surviving.
I mean, I understand it, but I don't particularly like it against Virtus Pro. I don't think that the Phoenix is a massive part of Virtus Pro's toolkit when you think about the duelist, like, pools that they run.
Yeah, but I think as well the fact that a lot of these fights on Midtown are going to be very linear, especially when it comes to that first main road fight around corner. Phoenix being able to build up as many sparks as she can on all of the stacked players on the side rooms when the walls crumble away has meant that everyone just gets stunned and you fall so incredibly low, even if it's not ultimates in play from the enemy opponent. A lot of the time, you're actually just having to mesh Q as a strategist to survive it.
You know what? We did see quite a bit of usage out of that Phoenix when it came to the self-healing capabilities of the Endsong Inferno as well.
Yep.
At least from the side of Citadel, we definitely were leveraging some of that. Dridro sitting around here. on the Mantis. And this is actually going to make Sparker so dangerous.
That's another reason why you didn't want to let the Phoenix for damage boosted Phoenix. Is absolutely no joke when it comes to damage output. Sparker is going to be, however, damage boosted by the Mantis, this time on that Psylocke, to try and keep a check of Tanuki and Melee, who are going to be up in the sky. But Tanuki with the Invis is going to have both the Guardian Shield as well as the team up to give him additional armor when he comes to pressure.
Yeah, plenty of means to assuage the incoming pressure. Actually, a mono-directional push here coming through from Phi and Sparker. A 2v1 opted into by Tanuki. It's brave, but is it foolish is the question. Nah, with Polly at your back, you can take any 2v2. Bro is the absolute goat of those.
That was kind of a bait too. Tanuki flushed Virtus.pro's two duelists up onto the high ground where Polly was lying in wait to catch them when they disengaged up onto the terrace. And suddenly Virtus.pro, without the Stard and the Psylocke, don't have the means of keeping Citadel at bay. However, the objective is slowly making its way a little bit further through the point, as you do have to respect the damage that Finzi can output on the ammo.
Map's starting to open up a bit, so this is where Sparker and Finzi can really leverage those off angles. Melee coming up close and personal. Tanuki on the chase. Notes the approach of Phi right here, but into the loving arms of Drudra has more than enough healing. Remember, the speed boost given over to everyone inside the Soul Resurgence as well is critical for overrunning exposed positions.
Finzi's going to have Sonic Seduction too. It's going to be a late pick potentially onto Polly, which means the Citadel are going to be able to stall and have another opportunity to take a fight. So far, though, no Doctor Strange portal. Looks like they're going to have faith that they're going to be able to keep the fight stalled long enough for someone to swap over to it when it gets closer to this finish point. Nevix on the roll, going to be giving all of the information to where Citadel Gaming are looking to rotate into the fight. Rage of Ultron comes out, instantly jumped upon with a damage boosted Feast of the Abyss. The Ultron goes so low, but the invisible boundary from Alex saves him. However, it's now off of the point.
Yep, off of the point, which means Enzo rolling on forward, isolating Drudra. Escape's not really on the cards for the Mantis. AoE is good. A trio of ultimates used at once. That was quite ambitious there from Enzo, and Phi easily flicks himself away from this. Ken in the back gets himself healed up, but is still under assault from multiple angles as Sparker and Phi continue to maraud through the backline. Sentient Season is just as easily swept away by the mobility of the Captain America. Tanuki is having a lot of trouble getting onto Nevix here, and managing to escape back to their duelist is going to give over a lot of charge. Finzi's not quite so lucky, though, when it comes to a potential for disengage. The mobility was already gone. Polly found in the back. Nevix surrounded and just going to be torn apart as the piranhas circle in the water.
Yeah, I mean, Melio actually goes over to the Doctor Strange and portals into Virtus.pro's back line rather than on the objective so that he can come on through and box them in between both the Doctor Strange damage and the Captain America running directly at them. Snooki's been able to build up Galactic Legend without Virtus.pro building an ultimate up to stop it. They don't have Soul Resurgence in the pocket just yet, though Drudra should have it online before Tanuki gets the opportunity to use it. Out comes the dance of the butterfly, so they're trying to soak it. The Galactic Legend has to come on through, and Alex, with the invisible boundary, is going to be able to put it on the objective, but they've already lost two and the Strange Portal. Virtus.pro have the numbers advantage when it drops.
And they have a damage boosted Feast of the Abyss ready to go as well. Nevix in the back manages to take out Alex, but she just traded elsewhere. Once again, Polly feels the siren call of the absolutely dastardly stall. Ken's going to opt out of an eat here, instead wanting to come back as quickly as possible to try and get those heals onto Polly. They're going to be all the more necessary, though, with the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier, making sure that everybody has so much damage to push on out. Enzo almost already has lost their passive, but gets healed up in no time at all. Nevix stands on business, on the point, needs to be cautious of the Feral Leap, which is surely going to be coming their way soon. But Citadel have so much sustainability. With all three of their strategists back here, they're behind the ambulance, and the Galactic Legends is weaved by Phi. Fee, Fi, Fo, Fum. I smell the blood of Citadel in the water, and I smell an entry into second point.
Oh, Virtus.pro, by the skin of their teeth, are able to push it on through off of that Galactic Legend, and Nevix going into the backline and just stalling them out. Now comes the swaps. Melee is going to be moving over to that Phoenix, having the advantage of the Invisible Woman being able to play the off angle and yet again distract Virtus.pro. If they try and take a fight on the main route of under subway, they have to open themselves up and their backline to that Phoenix. So you can see Nevix trying to scout out where exactly Melee is going to show up from.
Maybe a soft dive here from Nevix to begin with, trying to make people turn around. The freedom charge is good. Great insurance against the Dance of the Butterflies. Sparker double dips, going for an extra duel off the back of a team up given over by the EMEA. Manages to take out Melio here. Don't know if there's any option for a resurrection, not for the side of Citadel. That's only an insurance policy, but Virtus.pro have access -2 at the moment. Tanuki dips away, but doesn't really have the HP to try and sustain this one. So close to ultimate, but Citadel Gaming, they're so far away.
Yeah, but Ken with the jab and that primary heal has kept up the Vanguards who've been taking a little bit of damage and channeling it over to the It's Jeff build, which means that they'll have it up and available as well as Alex's invisible boundary. But Virtus Pro are one fight away from taking second with that momentum snowball from the last fight. Out comes the Feast of the Abyss directly into the invisible boundary, but that again forces it off of the objective.
Yeah, so far back with disengagement here for Nevix is unideal, but now Tanuki's got themselves an opening. Undefeatable screams rejoin may well be right. The meter end goes wide once again from Enzo, and Nevix holds back multiple members at the doorway, meaning that Enzo doesn't have any help. No help in the back line for Enzo. Citadel Gaming now has to send their squishy members up to try and contest the point, but it seems like Nevix and Finzi have no design to even letting them think about that. Not entertaining the notion. Polly falls down, and Melia will stand alone against the Horde.
The strength of the Mantis here is the fact that every single time Nevix uses the Feast of the Abyss, Citadel don't know whether it's damage boosted, which is why Alex is constantly having to respond with the invisible boundary. And it means that Virtus Pro can force the invisible boundary out, and then when that objective gets too close to the finish line, everyone from Citadel is forced to brawl into the face of a damage-boosted Emma. Finzi has been at maximum charge so often. He's been absolutely melting players. Has got the Sonic Seduction and will continue to open up this fight too. Out comes the Dance of the Butterflies. Spark is just going to use it to force out so many of these ultimates as Ken has to drop the healing pool and hope that it's enough for his team.
Healing pool given over, and now Ken's going to be in the back line, which means Polly has to roll on forward with a freedom charge to try and attempt to rescue or a flanking maneuver. Fi sees exactly where Ken is and gives him a solo Galactic Legend. Okay, buddy, a little bit rude, I'm not going to lie, but still it clears the area, and Citadel are sent scurrying.
Alex is going to have the BRB to bring one of their players back, but for Citadel Gaming, they don't have a clear win condition. Melia needs to build up the Dance of the Butterflies, but Drifter's going to have the Soul Resurgence. Plus, you don't have the angle scouted. You don't know where Virtus Pro are going to be sending the dive. There goes the Cosmic Yacht Amplifier, and there goes the Jeff. Melia is the next target now because they know he's close to the ult, and because they've been able to find one pick, the BRB's already down.
All right, Fi just absolutely pummeling here with these. Melio takes down Saipe using the Dance of the Butterflies, and we'll get one extra dash here onto Sparker, but look at the pressure being arrayed onto him. Demands the attention of the Jeff to keep themselves healed up. Enzo coming in. What a sedation. No chance for symbiotic resilience here. Is put to sleep and then slept permanently thereafter. Sparker starting to feel it. Starts with Dance of the Butterflies. The music's in his ears, and the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier just eats a bunch of those dashes. Perhaps not the ideal there from Alex, but we have to dive on in anyway. Enzo's there with a cellular corruption, but Finzi breaks their sentience underfoot. The high heels pierce through symbiotic armor. An attempted and eat will be delivered by the Jeff the Land Shark, but still Virtus Pro have everything they need to try and cut their way through this one. The healing pool is not enough. Spark is not there. Finzi begins to channel, and it seems like Citadel are scattered.
Virtus Pro's dives were just so well coordinated when we went into third. Citadel never got the opportunity to fully push the attacking team back underneath Fisk building and thus tax their approach with ultimate economy or face losing players on the walk-up, burning even more time off of their bank too. That is a huge chunk of time for a conflict map we don't often get to see fully completed, given the nature of how close the respawn point LOS is to the backline, to the convoy just before it ends.
Oh, a very close defense here, but Virtus Pro once again complete. Maybe they can batten down the hatches and try and figure out how Na'Vi managed to get one over on them in overtime so many times in a row. But their defense did look stalwart in extra rounds last time around.
This is where they're going to feel the hurt as well. That Storm Ban coming in. They don't have it on the attack. Tanuki's going to be over towards the torch. He is going to get the pocket from Melio, but again, you're an attacking torch. So it's all about getting into position first to put the pressure and not being taken down when you're starting to develop that angle for your duelist. Polly's over to the Wolverine, given the fact that Virtus Pro do have one-sided Groot, and we're getting to see Fire on the Doctor Strange. So two very juicy targets for the Wolverine, but bear in mind, Finzi is going to be there, the mother bear behind her two Vanguard players with the Carbon Crush and Diamond Form CC immunity to stop Polly from finding the pick.
And Cypher's already been having a lights out game today. We know that the Force Physics is the classic counter to the Wolverine. Tanuki getting up close and personal here to Fire, making sure that the high ground is not hospitable environs for the Doctor themselves. And at the moment, Polly's just leveraging the terror that is in the eyes of Vanguards to stop this from moving forward.
They're trying to funnel Virtus Pro into those side buildings so that Tanuki gets a little bit more space, doesn't have to worry about all of that damage coming his way because of being cut off from visibility, plus getting the spam pressure onto those players below him. But soft dive has to come through first. Enzo and the Venom going lower and lower gets out, and that means that Citadel Gaming have a little bit of a lull before he stabilizes and goes back in.
Yeah, VP re-established their space right here. Maybe Enzo's trying to force out that carbon crush to give an opening for Polly to try and work with. Has use of symbiotic resilience. A lot of their opportunities have now gone by the wayside. Polly and Tanuki both fall on down, and Ken's trying to cook elsewhere. But they don't really have the numbers to defend the Shark, so Ken is just dogpiled on.
Navix is going to have Strangling Prison too. Granted, Melee with the CC immunity of Rage of Ultron will be able to dodge it. And they do have Soul Resurgence to try and push forward aggressively. But Tanuki needs to be the thing that comes through with these picks. Supernova, Rage of Ultron is there, emboldens the dive. No more soft dive shenanigans. You can fully go for the hit. But the Doctor Strange fully shields off of that chunk of it. And Strangling Prison catches Jeff before Ken can get away.
Super Resible, Fi's already back in it. Enzo intrudes into the invisible boundary. Polly from far away looks to try and move after that Cosmic Yarn Amplifier. Should be easily burned on through by the ultimate of Tanuki. Static emplacements, they do suffer against what Tanuki brings to the table. Good LOS play here from the Human Torch, avoiding most of what Finzi's bringing. And now Tanuki gets ready to try and activate the dive around the back. Enzo's already softened them on up. They need to get onto Dredro right now, but the Soul Resurgence comes out at just the right moment. A quick grab onto the Wolverine. He's sent down for nap time. Fire doesn't get anything off the back of that Eye of Agamotto, but that's because most of their targets have already been eviscerated.
Virtus Pro continue to hold around this first corner. Polly is off of the Wolverine, and Citadel Gaming now are going to look to use Melia on that Punisher and just try and melt down some of these Groot walls, force Virtus Pro into losing players early off of the damage boost pocket from that Punisher. Bought up Final Judgment, bought up Fate of Both Worlds, pop the two of them together and walk forward.
Melee are going to have to break down these walls as you there. That's one of the primary uses of the Punisher up against the group, but Never So Much already has the Strangling Prison good to go. Could be blocked by the erased shields here that Citadel Gaming have brought to the table. But this constant turning around of Polly cannot be underestimated. Final Judgment in the back pocket here for Melio. Without Polly to defend him, is it really worth investing? Fi's been taken down elsewhere. They still think it's winnable for Melio, and so avoids the incoming CC. And Finzi can't escape into the invisible boundary. A turnaround here from Citadel Gaming. They saw the opening, and they absolutely dug in their claws.
Here's the crucial thing as well for Citadel. That was Mantis, Luna, Punisher. It was not Phoenix or Magneto. They've got the Wombo combo. And it's all going to be about Virtus Pro not getting hit by it. They have to burn the End Song Inferno when it's up in the sky.
Maybe you could bait it out here. Using the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier, you know how the Phoenixes react to these particular instances. Tanuki above it all, looked in towards the back line, and the Soul Resurgence is so far away, and Alex has been taken out elsewhere. Finzi rewarded for their aggression. Fi is in the attacker spawn, and yeah, there's punishment for it. It might be resurrectable. I think they're out of range of the BRB because they were an attacker spawn. Melee around the outside, gonna try and burn through Finzi. Draws out the adjudicating shotgun, sees the Vanguards approach, but looks towards the Pretty Woman, and even with the healing, Finzi's beam is charged up enough with just 15% to carve through Thrank Castle. Even his quest for justice is not stronger than the psionic powers of this X-Man. And Virtus Pro, they'll hold strong.
Oh, what a play. What a setup coming on through from Virtus Pro's Vanguard in that last fight too. Psionic Seduction onto Melia because, you know, he doesn't have Final Judgment for the CC immunity. He has no choice but to try and break LOS of it by hiding behind Ambulance. And wouldn't you know it, that's when the Venom immediately jumps in, tethers up so that the Punisher gets fully slowed and is forced to walk directly into that Emma. Massive plays from Virtus Pro as they just had so much coordination, being able to hold the space and really also going after that storm, just weakening Citadel Gaming's damage output so that things like the Final Judgment just weren't built up as fast as we've seen previously.
Threat assessment from Virtus Pro also super good, dealing with that threat of the Wolverine pretty sublimely. I don't think I saw anyone even get caught by a Feral Leap, or if they were, it was instantly taken off them by Saipe on the Invisible.
They didn't even get to cast it.
Yeah.
That was how much damage that Wolverine actually did. They swapped off, I believe, 97% to the first last stand and used it for a 50% ultimate charge.
Fi is so disgusting as well, and how he kind of plays Doctor Strange like Psylocke. Like every time I see Fi on the Doctor Strange, I'm like, what's he doing over there?
I might not have stealth or dashes, but I do have an expanded health pool, which means that I can absorb plenty of hits and still go for your back line. Finzi too had absolute aura in that last fight, where we actually see the Feast of the Abyss coming through from Citadel side, and he just pops Diamond Form and hovers over where the Venom's gonna pop up, waiting for him to pop up from the grind so he can get the Carbon Crush connection.
Go on, take a bite. I dare you. Break all your teeth on my Diamond Form. Melio did identify the opening here with the Final Judgment. That was kind of the only fight win that could be manufactured for Citadel the entirety of their 4-minute attack. So this was a great rebuffing of the overall planning of Citadel from Virtus Pro.
Yeah, remove the Storm, remove the Jeff Nader combination. So if you have Invis Women, your Invis boundaries are going to be able to heal the team fully without everyone getting carried outside of it, and that ultimate literally just being burned up entirely. It forces, too, that Punisher to have to sync up with things like the Mantis and the Luna, so you have enough damage boost potential to be able to find the picks for all of that sustainability too, which means that even if they find the fight win, the fights are so delayed that you're just going to be able to win the one that comes afterwards.
Yep, there's always the one that comes after. In the best of 7 series, Mox, there's plenty of time for adaptation and go next, and that's exactly what we'll be doing after this break.
Well, hello once again, Rivals. My name is Diatonic, and I've got your after-action report for the second week of the Marvel Rivals Ignite Asia Group Stage. Zero Tenacity were back in action to kick things off for Week 2, taking on Down Payment in the opening match. Z10 looked clean on Map 1, but Down Payment would claw their way to a reverse sweep, defeating Z10 2-1. Incipients were still on the hunt for their first group stage win as they took on U-Winks next, and they'd get themselves on the board with a big 2-0 win here. Rounding out this first day of Week 2 was yet another marquee matchup, the fated rematch between Stage 1 champs Reject and the newly rebuilt Gen G. Though the players have changed, the story was yet again one of triumph for Reject as they take the series in a close 2-1 showdown. The second day of Week 2 started off with a match between veteran team Assemble Fire, who are still in search of their first group stage win, against Incipients. But Incipients had picked up some steam here in Week 2 as they won their second game of the week in a close 2-1 bout. Down Payment also continued their winning streak, taking their third win in a row over Rocket University in a big 2-0 sweep. Onside Gaming looked to keep their dominance alive in the next match as well, taking on U-Winks and walking away with a clean 2-0. And in the final Day 2 matchup, Zero Tenacity went head-to-head with the Vietnamese squad OEG. It was a tough draw for OEG, and they'd fall victim to Z10 2-0. Day 3 kicked off with a showdown between frontrunner team Crazy Raccoon and Onside Gaming, with CR continuing their flawless group stage campaign with yet another 2-0 win. We had a heavy hitter matchup between Gen G and Zero Tenacity next, one that Gen G would walk away the victors from with a complete 2-0 shutout. XOXO01 and Incipients stepped onto the field next, and EXO would lock in their playoff position here with a big win over Incipients. We ended the day on a very interesting matchup between Reject and Rocket University, with Rocket actually managing to take a map off Reject, but the only 3-map series of the day would go Reject's way in the end. The final day of the Asia Group Stage began with 2 Legacy Ignite competitors, XOXO01 and Assemble Fire, a matchup that EXO would win handily 2-0. Reject were back up against Down Payment, and the Stage 1 champs would emerge victorious here, also 2-0. Crazy Raccoon had their last match against U-Winks and would complete a perfect run through the group stage with yet another 2-0 win. And finally, the group stage would close with Gen G taking on OEG, with Gen G picking up the last win of the week. And after 2 weeks of group stage action, the Asia playoff picture was locked in. From Group A, Crazy Raccoon, XOXO01, Onside Gaming, and Incipients advanced to the playoffs. And from Group B, Reject, Gen G, Down Payment, and Zero Tenacity all make it through. The competition in the Asia region is looking hotter than ever, with only the top 2 teams qualifying for the Grand Finals LAN tournament later this year. Well, that's all for now, Rivals. I hope you caught your breath because we're about to dive right back in. Get ready to ignite the battle.
saving all those fighting souls. But yet, across the world, I see you standing in my way. And remember the time, the place we used to fight, like the sun and moon. And I wonder if ever
No 4-0s today as Virtus.pro strike back against Citadel on Midtown with a full hold after a full completion. Looking like a different beast on Midtown compared to Bin into T'Challa.
Yeah, that storm ban really did hurt Citadel when it came to trying to play around things like that Punisher composition. So too did the group ban as well, so that they didn't have Strangling Prison to be able to stack up the supernovas coming on through from Tanuki on that torch, which just meant that when the ultimates came on for Virtus.pro, just had the means of finding the eliminations but also sustaining own Citadel's aggression. Citadel though now get the opportunity to take us to a map of choice and a side of choice too, which is going to have a very big influence in the ban draft, given the fact that one side gets to save before the other side gets a double ban.
All right, might be quite the important distinction here. Citadel, they had to choose a convergence map, Mox. It's the only map type left in our pool before it gets reset, heading into map number 4 for our loser. And Central Park is going to be the call. During the break, I think you called this one in advance.
Yes, and there goes the Ammo Frost. No surprises there. Citadel Gaming are going to be securing it for themselves. However, this does mean that Virtus.pro are likely going to be able to secure themselves one-sided Jeff. Central Park is a very good map for Jeff when it comes to those environmental hazards on first, second, and third. The Star-Lord's going to be removed from the pool, which means that things like the Ultron, the Torch, a Star-Lord of your own, and Jeff is a little bit safer too, since you don't have to worry about Galactic Legend tracking you down when you're in the ground.
Yeah, the Blaster Barrage is also great for clutches against a low-health Jeff who is under the ground because, well, you don't have to worry about the hitbox if they're just within the area of effect of the Blaster Barrage. Citadel Gaming now have a chance to turn this around. Likely going to have to go for a Venom ban at some point to shut down Symbolic Shenanigans, given how tight this map is.
Yeah, we've still got Venom in play, we've still got Adam in play, Luna as well. Mag's actually going to be removed as well, so they can't use things like the Bulwark on the Jeff when he's using the It's Jeff, which means that Citadel Gaming are going to have an easier time being able to handle those ultimates coming through. Plus, if they want to go for something like a Human Torch angle, they don't have to worry about Meteor M being able to absorb all of those cyclones, as Doctor Strange is going to be removed from Virtus.pro's side, so that if those fights go to the brawl potentials on the objective, Citadel have the opportunity for reinforcements. Virtus.pro, if they want to come back in quickly, have to go for something a little bit off meta instead.
Wait, am I seeing opposite day bans today? Are Citadel about to do the 4 Vanguard bans? Well, let me copy your homework, Virtus.pro. Yeah, but I got an F. No. No, I'd win if I used this homework. Last ban now for Citadel. Surely you got to get rid of a Venom with a Symbolic Shenanigans on the table. It's going to be the Ultron. Okay, Symbolic Shenanigans are there. Means less pocket up in the air.
Well, at the moment, Citadel Gaming still have full access to triple strategist lines, plus the 222 with the Luna and the Invis to be able to deal with the Venom, and you got the ammo, which you're more than happy having the confidence to be able to deal with those Venom dives coming on through. As the Captain America, I think, is going to be more of a problem, to be entirely honest, because it means that Virtus.pro can literally just send one singular Captain America to occupy the attention of Citadel Gaming's entire backline.
All right, Inviswoman on the docket. The last ban here for the side of VP. They're going to get rid of the Winter Soldier. Interesting here. Going to mean for a lot less control on that Venom, potentially, or on Fincy's cap.
Yeah, better for the cap. Also means that if Sparker wants to go for the Psylocke, you don't have to worry about things like the Bionic Hook being able to grab you out of position. Phi 2 on the Star-Lord doesn't have to worry about being grounded by connections from the Tainted Voltage, of which Bucky now gets 2 charges from. Plus, the Trooper's Fist now also applying that Earthbound debuff too. Winter Soldier really is one of the best counterplays to anything flyer-shaped.
Yeah, the grounding from a Tainted Voltage would kind of go crazy. But it does maybe telegraph that there is the intention to play this flyer composition, so maybe you could preemptively move over to something like a Hela or a Punisher to try and match them in the air. Maybe you could even try and go for the aerial duel with your own Tanuki usage of the Human Torch.
Yeah, I feel like aerial might be better than something like a Hela, given the fact that we just saw 4 being flashed coming on through, and if or does indeed come out into the mix, then we're going to be seeing a lot of dive potential, but also a lot of brawl potential. As Virtus.pro are going to be starting off on that defense, going to be using that Venom, putting pressure onto Citadel Gaming's approach, and then allowing all of that attention to set up more space for both the Starlord and the Psylocke when Sparker and Fi want to deal the damage.
Okay, Tanuki going to be playing on the Storm here as a single duelist. And now here comes the collapse on the back line. Wow. The Venom, the Star-Lord, and the Captain America. Yeah, the
damage boost and Adam letting you just walk forward with Soulbind and establish yourself on point. Virtus.pro now, because they went for that dive on Citadel Gaming's approach, might have lost some major presence on the objective itself, which is really bad for the dive because now they have to go directly into the ammo.
Yep, now they have to try and meet the Emma where she's at. Fincy's already fallen low. Melio's fallen down, but of course can self-resurrect. And Fi back down again. Means a huge amount of damage is gone. Sparker can't stand up to the justice dispensed by the Adam Warlock. The perfect human takes down an imperfect mutant. And so Virtus.pro, they're going to have to try and make a re-engagement happen here or cede away the entirety of the point. It's going to be Fincy putting his life on the line for this one and just dodges away. I think may have actually impacted Ratatoska in midair and so just bailed.
So there's your context for the Doctor Strange ban. Because remember, Citadel took the Doctor Strange out of the pool. So they went for a composition, which I don't think is going to continue. I think if they lose one fight, they're probably either just going to use their ultimates or hold off on the ultimates to get the 50% charge. Soulbind into a small room that you fortify with Groot so that Virtus.pro can't find any follow-up from the space created. And then you're still putting pressure on the dive because there's Brawl Tamper now.
What polyulting? That's my cue right now. It might have been deflected by Fincy off into the stratosphere, because of course you can't decide the direction. Out comes a big eat from Dredro, but the follow-up's going to be there to try and take him out there, Thor. And now Dredro back on the field, utilizing the BRB, the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier here from Virtus.pro. They are investing so heavily to try and win this first fight, because they need to re-establish their dive angles and control the space. And so it's going to be a main impediment to that, with access to the Carbon Crush, maybe trying to shut down. Oh no, a miss onto Sparker, a great dodge away from the Shinobi, and Virtus.pro are going to be able to lock down these angles now.
Yeah, and they got Melio as well coming on through, so no Karmic Revival cast. Tanuki is likely going to use Hurricane just to put the pressure onto Virtus.pro and maybe force them to have to just peel off the Storm, allowing Citadel to walk on forward, because Fire's on that off angle. They know he's there. Polly's been sending damages coming on through from that group, plus the healing direction from Dredro gives away the Star's position, but Galactic Legend is still going to be able to force Ridiculous regardless.
Fincy down, unresurrectable. Seems like the BRB was not in range wherever Fincy fell on down. Now comes the Galactic Legend looking towards the back. The perfect counter in the form of a Sonic Seduction, but the follow-up isn't there. Even with the pull there after, they just did not have the weaponry to try and look at that range. Melio must have been looking elsewhere.
And they used Soulbind too, which means the Feast of the Abyss and then Sparker with that follow-up might be able to find the picks and make them permanent. This time though, Melio does have that cocoon. He's going to go for the self-res. Everyone was busy looking at Polly! Melio manages to bring back so many people, but he trades his life in the meantime. And Dredro sees dollar signs for where everyone got spawned back up, casts the It's Jeff and manages to find the Groot.
Yeah, just drops the healing pull. But it's like, wait, oh, never mind, actually. I should probably reset.
Sometimes Groot can, you know, come through with those instructions to build up ramps on the other side of the map, and I think, yeah, Polly just doesn't want to stagger himself out. They have to play stack together too, because Spark of the Dance of the Butterflies is going to be looking to force the invisible boundary early.
I need assistance.
Tanuki, a Mega Hurricane in the back pocket, just looking for the ideal time to use it, but is going to be constantly worried about Sparker using the Dance of the Butterflies. Melio already down. No chance for self-revival. Ken instantly loses out on the ultimate. Ruinous for Citadel. That's a huge sustainability tool off the table.
Yeah, I don't know. They used Invis Boundary after Melio had already fallen, and then Ken is so low off of the dash damage that he actually gets caught in the animation before it can get built around him, which means it's a full cancellation, not a 50% reset charge. Virtus.pro still holding onto these angles too, once again going to put pressure onto the Adam, and they find the pick before Soul Resurgence comes through this time.
Oh my goodness, we're just striking so hard, so fast. Citadel are unprepared for this level of aggression. Fincy used the Freedom Charge to sustain themselves, but it means that Fi is up here and is feeling real confident to try and take some less than well-insured investigations, just making these engagements so difficult to deal with.
Okay, the Atom is gone. The Torch comes up to the mix. Tanuki now going to be moving on over to get that pocket from the Ultron. But Fi, with the Galactic Legend, is going to be able to keep both of those flyers under pressure. The second that they move away from the rooftops, it's a little bit of a bait to just push the Galactic Legend out early. But unfortunately, Fi's still got all of the movement and space to play off of and finds the picks regardless. Citadel at least made it fast, and they've still got a minute and a half to play with. But so too do Virtus.pro have ultimates. They know that Citadel are going to make a push to the objective with Enza's ultimate, and so they're lying in wait with Sparker and Nevix to combine Feast of the Abyss and Dance of the Butterflies. CC immune from the EMEA.
This is the Abyss coming soon onto the back line. Can they dodge away in time inside of a spawn? And the metallic bulwark given to the other. Nevix going to have trouble disengaging, and even more so while Carbon crushed. Still Nevix has health to try and work with here. The damage is finally given on over. Outside of range of a BRB as well, so it's going to be a long respawn, but a quick return for Nevix.
Tanuki still doesn't have control of the space though, which means that they have to clear the Psylocke before the Human Torch can come into the mix. Out comes Rage of Ultron paired with Sonic Seduction so that Citadel can finally make a move forward, but Virtus.pro just disengaged and Citadel still have so much distance to go.
And on Fincy, back is Fincy. The BRB well served them here as a dancer. Pushed away, but it does mean that only Tanuki is inside of the range, and so they're going to be a primary victim of that one. In comes the Big E, Enzo waiting, and so too is Melio. Even with the healing pool that Drudro had available, is unable to sustain through here, but overtime on the horizon now.
Who's behind? Citadel are currently occupied.
It was Fi on the TP. He used his rocket network.
Oh no, someone is still behind. Finzy's going to be dropping from the rooftops too. Supernova and Meteor Am is going to be what Citadel Gaming have to bank their hopes onto. Cosmic Gun Amplifier comes on through. Tanuki should be able to melt it with the Hurricanes coming in, but he has to make sure that he doesn't get melted himself. Out comes Fate of both worlds from Alex. Manages to keep the Human Torch in play, and Citadel have an opportunity to push second.
Find Sparker on different angles, but Sparker forced away. Tanuki getting so aggressive here, needed to remove the pressure from the Shinobi, and now it's just going to be down to a Venom on point to try and keep this one alive. A Symbiotic Resilience to give over even more over health to this. It's bought the time for Fi. They need to get up close and personal. The ult has to be massive from Polly, but it doesn't quite connect. The damage boost, the breakpoints, they're not really there. In comes the Venom once again to keep this one contested. Fi getting up close and personal. The Feast of the Abyss is good. Ken's fallen down, and Polly will stand alone up against the world. It's a familiar time for Eric Lenscher as he stood once alone for Mutant Kind. So too will he stand alone for Citadel. A lone tower amongst the ruins. Virtus.pro will prowl.
Virtus.pro just able to hold so close as Citadel spawn on second makes up for all of the time that they lost on first. With Citadel making that Doctor Strange ban work, making the Atom and the Storm with that damage boost and Soulbind, walking onto the point itself. Now, though, Virtus.pro have to attack with a composition that, again, can get scouted and cleared before it can fully find its feet on that point, and Citadel will have one-sided Strange advantage if they need to call reinforcements in. This defense is going to be better equipped than their offense.
That much is for certain for Virtus.pro, though. When they can all move so fast, Citadel Gaming's backline is going to have to be with their head on an absolute swivel. They could evaporate in a second.
You can see as well, Citadel, they're trying to figure out what exactly they want to go for. They had the Mantis open if they wanted to, but they're going to go for the long-term sustainability of the Luna, the Atom, and the Invis. So you get the Luna and Atom Karma team up, which means that if Alex gets dove upon, the Venom just being a head hitbox means that Alex should be able to keep himself relatively topped on up. Plus, you still apply the Soulbind too, to be able to survive this first fight when Virtus.pro try and push you, if the dive is just a big old bait and switch for them to grab space instead of picks.
For Light and Shadow Karma, it could be an imperative here for the survivability of that backline to set up for a dive.
Tanuki too is set up for the counter dive. He's on the Wolverine. Nevix and Finzy are going to have a rough time of it, as already Nevix has to be careful that he doesn't feed too much charge over to Enzo. Virtus.pro aren't going to be going for main. They're looking for a dive setup, and Fi's already got an angle on the back line.
Fire reveals himself a little bit of momentary distraction, making space just via annoyance at the moment. Melio is already down to half HP, has to use for live stream to top themselves up. And Fire's not really committing here, forcing someone to come in and try and deal with him. And Tridro joining on this angle. They've given enough time for Sparker to get up close, where those Sonic crossbows can really start doing the damage.
Citadel, though, still holding onto that soulbind. The fact that Invis can get the pierce onto everybody there, plus the Guardian Shield AoE, means that Melio can trust his strategists to keep him alive without burning that resource and takes Finzi down. Finzi will get revived with the BRB, and Virtus.pro still have their angles, but Tanuki is just the bodyguard right now, making sure that his backline is kept safe from all of the focus fire.
Yeah, just making it impossible. Look at the move here from Fi, though, going over onto a Phoenix, knowing that accruing these sparks could be the key to turning it around. And while the identification was good, alongside the dance of the butterflies, there just is not the time. Melio forced to just stare into the eyes of their oppressors, and so there's going to be no chance for a revival. Instead, it's going to be about the portal. This is one of the main resource disparities that you were talking about earlier. Bodyblock not going to come on through. Alex sits down on the point, not going to have access to that Luna. Fi's getting in close and personal. Quick cancel, quick kick, and into the side they go. Alex is there with the daggers of the knack to turn it around again, and Virtus.pro didn't even get the first tick out just yet. Tridro, an early grab, and that's going to be two enemies spit on out, sacrificing themselves to the privilege of a guaranteed frag. Enzo believes it's winnable, and so a turnaround is imperative. Finzi dodges away from the incoming damage, and also dodges away from being mind-controlled as well. Tanuki can't quite convert, and for Citadel Gaming, this one's over.
Remember, it's Jeff. Getting a pick on Adam doesn't let you go into the cocoon. Melio was so close to Comic and gets caught by the Jeffeed and taken off of the map. And Citadel Gaming's chances of holding on first get taken off of the map alongside it. We're over now to full anti-dive measures. Tanuki on the Namor, Enzo the Hulk to have the Gamma Monstro. Is Virtus.pro already running at Citadel Gaming, trying to hold on to as much space as they possibly can. Split the team by more objective control and more angles for both your Phoenix and your Psylocke Captain America when they want to put the pressure on the backline.
Dealing with that Hulk can be difficult, but dealing with a Feast of the Abyss even more so. Great usage of a Bulwark. Melio once again going to have to contemplate the Cocoon revive, and inside of a Fate of Both Worlds might find themselves safe here, but still Citadel Gaming having to spend so much to get themselves a touch of stability. Sparker looks above it all and now slashes on in, wants to try and isolate Ken within the area of effect, but still the sharing out, the democratization of the pain is good for Citadel Gaming. Saipe draws on through with the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier, and Drigo gets himself two! Instantly flattened under the biomass of Giganto. The wrath of the Seven Seas made known against the traitorous marine animal that dared to rise on up. Enzo and Polly gonna try and do it as a pair, but they can't quite connect with it. It's just gonna be all about that stall.
It's the stalls that Citadel Gaming can start to regroup. There's one more fight, but they've got the Karmic Revival off at the back of it, and Virtus.pro don't have ultimates right now. Feast of the Abyss potentially to be able to catch onto those revive positions. Melio too has already burned that self-res, so if Sparker can find the pick onto the Adam on the walk-up, Virtus.pro are in such a good position to take Central Park.
Vinci already in towards the back, trying to force out Melio. Knows like Karmic Revival could be absolutely imperative towards this one. And Citadel Gaming got temporary control of the cart, and there's a very angry Hulk that could try and deal with this one. Sparker double dash for a disengage, and Enzo continues to throw out the damage. Polly needs for support in the back, and they're going to focus in all their fire upon Polly, but the healing is there, and the resurrections too. Potentially no Melio slain, and even with one player returned to a fray, it's not going to be enough. Alex has to reinforce. The fate of both worlds decided right here and now as Enzo takes to the battlegrounds. Might well be able to try and interrupt this as Fi looks towards the back. The fate of both worlds is over. The time of the Phoenix has begun. The end song sings around Central Park, and the echo off the ramparts of the castle will sting in the ears of Citadel. Ken is down via Finzi as Enzo dances forth, but Finzi's already done all that he needs to, and a one-person soulbind is just a trickle of healing, but the trickle's met by a flood of bare blood and bare yells. Virtus.pro take away Central Park.
Polly on the Captain America tries to stall, but you're simply treading water until the rest of your players are no longer present. And that's going to be a 2-1 scoreline for Virtus.pro, who let the Adam Warlock through, but as we saw, had a plan to be able to put it in the ground. That dive was so well formulated. They scouted, they saw the lay of the land, they saw that Citadel were going to stack themselves into those small rooms, the back rooms behind the point, so they could gain the most amount of value from things like the Soulbind, from the AoE heal of the Guardian Shield, as well as the slow impact when Virtus.pro tried to go from the dive from main, and they swapped to the perfect thing which would punish the fact that Citadel was so stacked. That being the Phoenix, who is not yet nerfed. We have not moved to Season 4.5, which means all of the melee animation cancels are still present. And Psylocke, this is not even Psylocke buffed. This is just Sparker picking his timing absolutely perfectly to find the most amount of damage with every single one of those dashes.
Virtus.pro really out here like, damn, you forgot with the goats, huh? We are still those guys, apparently. Great identification, as you said, from Fi, of where you could really try and open something up. Yeah, this was real cruel to make Melio and Polly contemplate their fate for a couple of moments longer.
It's so smart too, because actually when you're there from Dridro's POV, this here is the cancel of the Karmic Revival with the Dance of the Butterflies. When we were looking at Dridro's POV on the Jeff, that Jeff is in the ground getting absolutely harassed by the Emma, who's trying to just take him out as quickly as possible. But he set up the speed bubble so that he hops into the speed bubble and gets the opportunity to go out of range of the Emma and over to the map before she can take him out of his Jeff and rescue the Adam, who had Karmic Revival so close and could have meant that Citadel held on to first even longer, getting to hold that position and clear out the dives, didn't have to worry about losing control of all the space when they got momentum pushed into second.
I mean, think about how long VP managed to hold on second as well. They essentially just got like insta-gibbed on first for the defense. They went for their first dive, got hit by the Goddess boost, and kind of just got absolutely pantsed. They instantly lost Phi twice, and their dive tanks, their dive vanguards just completely destroyed, but managing to set up on second was absolutely everything. For Citadel, suddenly this is a very dangerous circumstance. We'll get to pick from any of our maps to go back to now, so maybe Hell's Heaven Comfort Pick is on the horizon after this break.
I'm hunkering down. Judge, jury, executioner!
For Citadel, not looking like they're going to be returning to the championship slate here of EMEA, down 2-1 against Virtus Pro, and the last two maps have been Virtus Pro really dominating how these engagements happen. They are always winning the role for initiative.
Yeah, I mean, Virtus Pro, the second they were able to stop the momentum on second when they were defending Central Park, we did just get to see them tightening up all of those space, all of the angle control, just going their way. And it meant that even though Citadel were eventually, keyword being eventually, able to walk out from spawn onto the objective, the time had burnt down too low, the ultimates that they'd been forced to part with too far for them to be able to turn the fight around into their favor. Because now we get to go all the way back into all of our other map types. Is it going to be domination? Domination has long been a map type that Virtus Pro have struggled into, but recently we've seen them really tightening up on this mode, as well as the ban drafts. That is allowing them to play so many things that they've tried before to its actual potential. The Human Torch composition has been working like a charm. We've got to see Hulk Namor coming through from them, as well as the Jeff compositions, something which normally they've fallen prey to. They've now actually added to their strength pool too.
Yeah, like, Virtus Pro are starting to round out as a team. Like, at least round out as a team in Ignite. We consider them like the perfect beast in MRC, with mirrored bans, where they were often able to play a mirror composition to the enemy team. They were a very good front-to-back team. Like, they were always focusing first on the Vanguards and working with their way back from there. But now they're starting to really leverage for dives on the backline. And as I said, win those roles for initiative, being able to control when and where the fights were happening, which has made them a lot more rounded as a team, having access to these dives and maybe being better. There it is, Hell 7. Now this is Citadel Gaming's safe space.
Yeah, especially if we see the Black Panther come on through. Although, recently, my one worry when I was thinking, do Citadel take us to Hell's Heaven, is that this is a very good map for flyers, and Black Panther struggles into Ultron especially, but Human Torch and Star-Lord also make it very, very hard for that Black Panther to be able to find value. As Virtus Pro will be saving that ammo, which has been another turning point for this team. It means that they don't have to use all of their bans against Poly and can look to target out other strengths of the composition, as there goes one strength, Star-Lord, taken away from Sparker.
Yep, Star-Lord, an absolute priority to remove, especially when you want to play that Ultron. We saw some real struggles on Warrior Falls of being into T'Challa, where Alex was getting consistently hunted down by the Star-Lord.
I do expect that Citadel are likely going to be removing Ultron before Virtus Pro can get access to their second save slot coming on through, as Virtus Pro will be removing that Star-Lord, which means that the Ultron doesn't have a Star-Lord opportunity to pocket. Also means if Fight does decide to go for the Human Torch, he's going to be able to have a much easier time. As we can see that the Psylocke now has been removed too. So Citadel might well be drafting a flare composition, or they could be going for the 2-2-2 dive composition, with both the Rocket and the Ultron really struggling into the Psylocke's mobility, and the fact that she can literally just use her ultimate to single out you and take you down, even through something like a Rage of Ultron ultimate.
I think it's the first time this season we've seen a one-sided Psylocke priority. We've seen Psylocke bans, we've seen Psylocke protects, but never one after the other as far as I can remember. Virtus Pro now have their last ban on the table. Mantis still available, Luna still available, the Captain America taken away from Poly.
I mean, you kind of have to. It wouldn't just be Psylocke, it would be Psylocke and Cap with Luna and Ultron Pocket on Hell's Heaven, which if you lose a single one of these fights, you always have to be looking up into those skies to figure out whether there's a Cap or a Venom looking down at you. Plus, Emma is going to have an easier time of dealing with the Venom than the Captain America. So too will the backline, given the fact that Venom is a hitbox, and Captain America has the ability to bounce back projectiles, so all of the CC from a Luna can get reflected right back at you.
Poly? For real? I mean, we saw a little bit of it on Celestial Husk yesterday, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
And it certainly would fit the ethos of the undivables.
It also means that they're going to have a lot of potential staying power within those fights too, because the descent coming on through from that Angela provides additional HP to both the Angela and everybody else inside that fight too. So it means that you can sort of actually weave that cooldown in and out of uptime between your strategist ultimates to keep the fight going, as opposed to some other dive compositions where you have to be in and out much more succinctly.
Yeah, just popping in and out. Maybe pop out with someone in your arms, you know. take a goodie bag for the rest of the class to share.
I mean, it's not really going to be shared if it's melted to smithereens if we head over to Super Soldier Factory. And the lava pit is directly to the left side of Point.
Oh, that is a concern that needs to be held here. We'll see if Jojo sticks on the... Oh, it's real.
They played it yesterday, actually, with Tanuki on the magic, as well as that Doctor Strange, so we're going to be able to see the chain team up, which means that either strategists can be chained together or vanguards can be chained together, and that, wait a minute, that could be a great combo for an Assassin's Lunge coming on through from an Angela.
Could well be. Going for the instant mugging. There's the purple coming through and the grab counter onto Enzo. Tanuki in the back has already forced on out for Soul Bond and has gone too far now. So the right clicks from Sparker easily carve through the flesh of the Dark Child. No Eldritch Whirl to save themselves, nor Stepping Disc either. Ken is taken down, and while Citadel Gaming are going to have a rear guard maneuver here to try and grab themselves a first control. Finz has already stepped up to the plate, and it's not a huge amount of charge on the beam, but you still got to worry about how much DPS this EMEA can pump out.
I mean, this Groot 2 is going to be able to find the isolation, the Doctor Strange split from his backline, which means that Virtus Pro will be able to establish themselves onto that point first fully, and now they're going to have so much more space to be able to clear where that magic is going to be coming on from, as Tanuki is going to be relying on a lot of his cooldowns to actually bring him in close enough to start getting the damage done.
All right, Tanuki.
Okay, yeah, no, we're
swap.
we're off of it. I was gonna say, there's no way. That's the composition you can keep if you win the first fight. If you lose the first fight, immediate swap. Melia goes over to the Psylocke, Tanuki over to the Phoenix. So the Phoenix is going to have off-angle pressure. Melia is going to have more pressure on the flying component of Phi, who doesn't have that Ultron pocket.
Angelic Descent already used here, and Polly found themselves alone. Enzo was there, yes, but the healing couldn't be brought on over due to walls being erected behind them, blocking off Ken's healing globules from the repair mode of his weapon. Enzo doing his best to dodge out all of the damage here, but Nevix is waiting on the other side. Flush him out and I'll destroy him.
Well, Nevix is going to be taking a little bit of damage too, as well as clearing out where Citadel Gaming could be holding themselves up. Both the Phoenix and the Psylocke are going to be looking for different angles to peek out from, which means that Virtus Pro have to clear the two of them. And Sonic Inferno is coming real close. Triangling Prison's already in play, and that just sets Virtus Pro up for a full swing. Finzi with the diamond form is going to get the spinning kick into the Groot walls too. Amplified damage. Citadel have no means of standing up to it.
Oh, Coach Salah needs to already have prepped a speech to get the team back together after this. This is their comfort map. This is their safe space. This is where Virtus Pro is supposed to be weakest. And yet Citadel Gaming are looking like they can't manage to find anything thus far.
Yeah, Citadel go for combos with their ultimates here. It just means that they bleed more economy in the face of the Karmic Revival. Out comes the Soulbind. Finz is going to be shutting off all of the space that Enzo looked to create as we head towards overtime with Sonic Destruction. And Water Force Physics onto Enzo, which brings him down immediately.
Force Physics and the control, they've just demolished Enzo. There's going to be a quick resurrection, yeah, so Enzo will re-enter the fray, but the remainder of the team can't make it through the absolute barricade. The blockade of Naboo by the Trade Federation has been enforced by Flame Cyclones themselves. Down comes the damage. Amplified by the Seer means that Phi can't stand up to the hit scan pressure of Tanuki, but you know what? The pressure could be alleviated by an invisible boundary drawn up here by Saipe. A quick peel onto the back line, and Tanuki is noted. Heaven's Descent into the back. Polly gets a little bit bugged there on the descent, actually ends up above it and so can't quite follow through. This means Tanuki has to throw in even more to try and make this one work. Sparker contemplates potentially self-reviving, but instead is going to call it here. Oh wait, he does self-revive. Not sure if that one was too intelligent.
Yeah, Citadel now though have to play absolutely perfectly. They do have the means to go aggressively first with both the Dance of the Butterflies and the Rage of Ultron, but they do have to bait out that Soulbind, likely with one of those ultimates committed, which means that the dive follow-up has to be absolutely on point. And Phi is already moving on up, using the AoE damage from that torch to clear the angles and figure out where Citadel are.
The BRB is close by to try and reinforce any of these deep dives. That's going to be used by Melio already as Sniper falls on down elsewhere. The damage is good, and Phi trying to make sure that the disengagement, taking them back to their team might not be ideal there, Polly, but you know what? It's just a friendly delivery from one bro to another.
They're giving them very little space as well to let Sparker build up any form of damage towards another Karmic Revival cast. Fi's actually gone over to the Phoenix now because Citadel Gaming are converging hitboxes when they go for the dive, which means that he might be able to find multiple bodies to be able to stun into that Venom, getting grabbed by something like the Anna. Soul Resurgence means that they'll sustain through the Feast of the Abyss as Miller did not commit his ultimate, and Polly goes down.
Yeah, and the BRB isn't even off cooldown yet because they're fighting so early and so fast. Melio tries to relieve some of the pressure, and while they're all low, it means even easier times burning them down for the Ensong Inferno. Fincy takes down Enzo, but already Virtus Pro, they can't be allowed to flip the point right here. Still, they might have no choice. It's going to be 99%, already halfway towards the cap. Saipo's got sustainability for days for the remainder of Virtus Pro inside of this one. A dodge away from Tanuki is solidly done as Nevix doesn't get too much off the back of their Feast of the Abyss. The disengagement went so far, and Tanuki tracked it all the way. Enzo's back on the Doctor Strange, as it seems like an off-angle play from Fincy here is going to be easily blocked on out. The Shield of a Seraphim can't be broken through, so all will escape the Sarnic's clutches of the Emma. Blasted away temporarily and into the health pack. Fincy's got their own sustainability to try and play with. Ken is down to a Rage of Ultron, but Enzo can't get healed in time. 100 charge will just carve through Ultron. Can't afford to show himself to Fincy. Polly's got no heals to speak of apart from a meager Ultron drone, and with no feet down on the ground, the car can't be contested. The point now in favor of Virtus Pro. Spark has still got a res to deal with. Polly's back in record time, and Alex is revived by the BRB, so there's still going to be numbers here for Citadel, but Virtus Pro still have a second phase to his fight.
Sparker's got the Karmic Revival. He's entirely untouchable. You can see him just there behind both of his two other strategists. Out comes the Ensong Inferno onto the backline, onto the Adam. Is it enough? Can they take Sparker down before Karmic Revival comes on through? There's no follow-up. Amelia was already down on the Psylocke, which means that the Adam sustains, and Virtus Pro continue their presence on the objective to take Frozen Airfield. And we go now to Super Soldier Factory.
See, that's the weakness of these compositions. When you're forced to fight on point for an extended period of time, the Ultron and the Rocket, they just have such low raw healing.
Yeah, the visibility. It's so bad. Like, you're always going to be disconnected. Not having that Luna give you the idle aura to either your Phoenix or your Psylocke, so that if they're out of your range, out of your visibility, they're still receiving some level of sustainability from the 35% heal trickle would be absolutely huge. However, if you go for a Luna with a composition like this, when there is very little peel, the way that Citadel Gaming peel is by taking attention elsewhere. Virtus Pro having to deal with all of the angles that they themselves are being contested upon allows the strategists that extra level of sustainability, which is why so often against this composition we see teams literally just make a play to ignore the dive and send something like a Vanguard all the way to the objective and force a pivot.
Citadel Gaming sticking to their guns here. Virtus Pro, they have an advantage to begin with. The Karmic Revival might be everything.
Fi gets a little bit of AoE read, knows that Citadel Gaming are looking for a play. Out comes down to the Butterflies and Feast of the Abyss at the same time. Sparker does go down, but he's still got the Cocoon, and that means that he's just going to bring himself right back into this fight, because Virtus Pro, they're going to be able to establish presence on the objective with the Emma and establish dominance with a huge Carbon Crush onto Enzo, forcing Ken to ult.
Yeah, Tanuki was very far away from a BRB as well. Vasia gets a massive chunk bitten out of it by the Venom. Still no early play here. Down comes the Ribbon. The angelic descent of Angela into the back line. It seems like there's not going to be too much gained off the back of it, though, by Polly. Alex inside of the invisible boundary can't be forced to leave. Would be slowed on the outside as they try to disengage, but they are brought back by the battle recall beacon. Polly drops one off the map. I believe that was Sparker. Not sure if there's going to be any chance for a Cocoon revival.
No, you can already see the life ticking down. If he goes off of the map, he can't self-res. Finzy, though, still holding his position, has the Aegis that he can dance in and out of, that both he and Nevix can dance in and out of to sustain the pressure coming on through. The Diamond Form means he gets the damage reduction to disengage back to his team and stabilize, and Virtus Pro still aren't allowing Citadel Gaming the full cap.
the rare Vanguard patty cake coming on through. Nevix finally makes their engagement known. Out comes a potential knockdown, but Nevix quickly able to swing on away. Melio in the back has already forced out plenty of resources, utilizing that dance of the butterflies, but now it's all down to the supernova of Phi to try and make something happen as we're getting close and personal. The End Song Inferno rises above it all, and the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier is going to make sure that it's even more deadly, but on the Vanguards, they can't quite cut through the damage. Ken's fallen down and can't res themselves. Saipe traded on the other side of her Age of Ultron is declared. All of the array damage is more than enough, and now Citadel are going to have to do it without any healing whatsoever. Polly's fallen on down, and surely Enzo's soon to join them. Ken's going to come on back now with a portal to try and stop this first contest and make sure they continue to accrue percentage. And that means Alex has made the emergency swap onto the Invisible Woman, pulls Fincy through the portal, never to be seen again from whence he came. Nevix down into the pit, and it seems like there's not going to be a knockdown. Once again, you can't convert on this one, and Spark has gone for a resurrection. Virtus.pro believe that this is their chance, this is their moment, this is their opening, and a double up on the ultimates is certainly a hearkening to such dastardly aims.
Polly's not giving them any point flips. Citadel Gaming, at the beginning of that fight, were able to find the point control. The longer this goes, the more point percentage they accrue. The Emma ultimate gets zoned away by Polly with the shield. Inverse boundary slows the Angela down. He uses the Assassin's Lunge to try and get back to his team, and Melio picks Phi in the meantime.
No resurrection available this time. Now the dance for Butterfly is getting a patty cake coming on through the extra health as well. Coming up close and personal, Tanuki took the ultimate risk and paid the ultimate price for it. Fincy with a fully charged beam just carves through all comers, and that's going to be Virtus.pro finally flipping at 82%.
But Virtus.pro, they're down Soulbind, they're down Karmic Revival, they're down every single one of their ultimates. It's going to be up to Nevix to try and slow down Citadel Gaming's approach, because they've got a wombo combo. Heaven's Retribution combined with End Song Inferno. It's going to be up to Virtus.pro to try and burn this Phoenix ultimate before it comes through.
Phi has to be careful, but remember, does have an advantage due to that damage boost that is available. Nevix chasing after their counterpart here, looking towards the back. The axes of Icar's drawn on out, giving over health to everyone who wants to come in and play. They're tethered to the pole, and then the nuke gets dropped from downtown for Sparker. This one's going to have to be calling it because, of course, it's only 55% towards the resurrection. Citadel Gaming back in control.
Yeah, Melio just tracks down Sparker to see whether or not he is going to go for that revive, and Citadel with the wombo combo find the flip. The fact as well that they were just coming through with Enzo getting the tether onto so many players, able to force Virtus.pro to back off of the point, which meant that the flip came through before Heaven's Retribution landed. And once again, he goes in, disrupts the backline's engagement, does enough damage to build up the Feast of the Abyss. And we get to see this time Phi's End Song Inferno looking to target down Ken, who simply runs away with the shift.
And then Ken's like, okay, this is over. Bye.
It's a fast fight. There's a reason they make it a fast fight. It's so that they can hold on to the ultimate advantage and they don't give Virtus.pro point percentage. You can't afford to give a triple strategist add-on composition more point percentage off of longer fights. So we've got Feast of the Abyss. We're going to have the damage boost coming through from Cosmic Yarn Amplifier. It's at 99% too. So for Citadel, they can literally just find the eliminations, force Sparker to res, and take the objective.
The Virtus.pro, the most dangerous fight, has passed in towards the back. The Cosmic Yarn Amplifier should be easy to carve through the health bars, but the damage is shared out once again. Great use of a Soul Bond coming through from Sparker here, who's still ready to resurrect. Actually going to be used preemptively here. Sparker ready for anyone to fall on down. If they get taken down into the Abyss, it's not going to be quite as lucky. Phi dragged on through, coming in close and personal. Melio starts to channel the dance of the butterflies inside the Guardian's shield and the invisible boundary. There's more than enough healing. Tanuki's just going to be chased into it here. There are no good options. Fincy with the dags of Danak shepherds them into the loving arms of Phi, who just burns them to a cinder. Only Ash remains where once the Citadel stood. And for Alex, they're going to have to try and force in all of the healing. A block onto the healing given by the Rage of Ultron. Fincy's got heads-up play. The Eye of Agamotto is open, and he stares into 16,401 futures and finds the one where Virtus.pro can reign supreme, blocking off incoming damage. Oh my goodness. Movement of the super soldier factory as well might block off some of the engagements. Out comes the Heaven's Fall from Polly, instantly broken through. The damage is good, but Nevix is better, and he's got so much to play with. No way for double. Nah, both of them can survive that. Moving away from the lava. Virtus Pro still are yet to lose someone. Citadel are fighting tooth and nail, but this entire time, it's just been all Virtus Pro all the time. There's no blue to be seen, only red that is spilled, and blood is dashed across this Antarctic soil of Hell's Heaven. The Hydra base is stained. The Citadel Gaming safety map is taken away.
Virtus Pro put themselves onto match point in the grand finals. The Adam composition able to come out on top of all of the dive. The pressure from the Venom, from the Psylocke, from even the Angela. Polly did so much work with those assassin's lunges, but unfortunately every single time he found a connection, it was onto someone with a movement ability. A lot of the time Nevix, which meant that the Venom was able to simply swing away. And Sparker going down a sum title of several times too meant that the Adam had the Karmic Revival, and Citadel Gaming weren't able to punish the Adam composition the way that Virtus Pro have been doing against them.
Was Juju playing Mantis the entire time, walking over 26k heals? That's kind of bonkers, I'm not gonna lie. Being able to get those damage boosts out of a critical moment as well. The sustainability goes crazy here. And for Citadel, this was supposed to be their trump card. This was where Virtus Pro were always going to struggle against them.
I mean, you could see when they were in control, right? When they were able to find those wins and set those dives up against Virtus Pro, they were able to force the resources. Soulbind did come out incredibly prematurely off of pressure coming on through from Enzo simply diving on in, setting up Polly and Tanuki to actually find the eliminations when they combined their ultimate, especially on that secondary map. The problem for them, though, was that when we went to that really long, drawn-out fight towards the end and they have to go through for the portal, they try everything. Like the Loki swap comes on through for regeneration domain, that gets broken almost immediately. The longer that fight goes, the closer Virtus Pro get to building up another Karmic Revival. And because overtime would have been burning for so long, if anybody from the side of Citadel tries to go after the Adam and you lose the relay of holding onto the point for a singular second, the round is done regardless of the Adam state.
I mean, Virtus Pro also having both of their Vanguards be able to rescue themselves from that abyss where Polly really wanted to put them was kind of critical. Had they not been on Strange and Venom, maybe they fall down.
Double was huge.
You know what's
Like
better
you
than
said.
2 though, Moxie? 4. Because Marvel Rivals is now available on the PlayStation 4 for all of your big screen gaming needs. If you got the console sitting underneath your TV, you can download Marvel Rivals for free right now and get stuck in with the best of us on PlayStation 4.
And there's a reason as well to play on the console too. You can't use a console on Ignite, even though we do see our controller players coming on through. But you can enter MLC as they have a console division, so you can climb your way up the professional esports ladder that way as well.
Ah, what a great way to try and get yourself some prize money, get your skills recognized. I know we have multiple players here in Ignite who actually came from console. I think Leolaz is one of them who came from that console scene. Most of 100 Thieves over in North America also played that, but right now it's playing for match point for Virtus Pro. We're starting to feel like old times, Mox, as we head into map number 5 right after this.
I want your soul. Hell unleashed!
VP rally up and said, tales of my demise have been greatly exaggerated. Coming out 3-1 against Citadel here. And for Citadel, there is so much soul searching that needs to be done to try and get themselves back into this series. They started off strong when I thought they might be weakest, coming in a little bit colder compared to Virtus Pro. But when it comes to playing these objectives right now, VP are looking sublime.
Yeah, this is classic vintage Virtus Pro. It feels like we really did just start the year in 2025 and get to see this team and be like, okay, we got the Psylocke again, we got the Starlet again, we got the Human Torch a little bit later in the year, given the fact that he didn't actually drop in January. But it is Virtus Pro really playing to their strengths that we've been getting to see. Speaking about playing to their strengths, I would maybe expect Citadel to take us to a convoy map that isn't Araco, so potentially Yggdrasil Path, which tends to be their comfort map now moving into stage 2. Whenever they've lost domination maps, they tend to go over to Yggdrasil and turn things around, especially when they go up against the likes of Na'Vi previously.
Plus, I got some very recent tape on VP on the Yggdrasil Path from the previous matchup against Na'Vi, so that's going to be relevant for Salah to have had taken a look at in the back room. And you know what, Moxie, when it comes to getting a team back together, there are rituals on the side of Citadel to try and bring themselves back onto the same page.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the time, you actually even got to see it firsthand when we sat in on their scrims over in LAN for Guangzhou. They have Poly do the count where you have to basically all clap at the same time to make sure that everybody is on the same page when the dive comes on through. Because Citadel were the dive team. There's a reason why Hell's Heaven was one of their comfort maps. It's because they are such a good dive coordinated team. However, I feel like Virtus Pro kind of anticipated when Hell's Heaven popped up that it would be dive. Granted, there were components of a newer composition of dive with things like the Angela combined with that Psylocke. But the Adam with the Soul Bind and just being able to triage triple strategist healing with both the Luna as well as that Invis simply meant that there was so much sustainability.
Yeah, like they just rebuffed so many of the assaults, utilizing first for Soulbind, then they go for like the dark, light and dark karma with the clap for everybody else, then they just dump 4 mantis spores.
Yeah.
Like we saw Drijo walking out of the entire I think they have the highest healing in the game as mantis the entire time. They just dumped 4 mantis spores. You know, sometimes it's not about getting the damage boost, it's about, you know, living the dive and then we'll strike back later.
Well, we're getting ready to head into match point for Virtus Pro. Let's see if we hear an Asgardian choir coming on through, or if it's going to be somewhere a little bit different indeed. Yes, it is. There we go. To Yggdrasil Path we head.
This has been, as you said, one of the comfort maps for Citadel Gaming this season, but overall for Virtus Pro, as our kind of original map here in Marvel Rivals, a team with as much longevity as Virtus Pro has been playing this map for as long as time immemorial. It's going to be on my bands for both sides.
See, I wonder though, when you go convoy, you have to know that Virtus Pro are likely going to target that storm again to take out both the Jeff NATO composition, but also to weaken your spawn break hold. When it comes to the Punisher getting that damage boost. Because again, we're going to be seeing the Groot getting removed, so that Strangling Prison can't be combined with things like Honda of Conchu, as well as those walls looking to isolate and break LOS. But things like the Adam Warlock, if he's able to make it on through, as both of these teams actually are going to be able to save Jeff, given the fact that Citadel Gaming start on the attack, which is their own decision, meaning that they got to save the Jeff before Virtus Pro got to go for the back-to-back bans.
Okay, Adam taken off the table. Yeah, I probably would after what just happened on the last map as well. Simultaneous bans now going to come through. Likely to be Venoms maybe to try and... Actually, Symbolic Shenanigans hasn't been given too much precedence between these two teams when it comes to their ban strategy so far. So maybe they're just going to leave it on.
But that was when Emma was in play. Which does make it a little bit easier for that Venom to be dealt with. As again, we can see, yeah, that Storm being removed before Citadel Gaming get access to their second save to squirrel it away for safekeeping. Ultron is going to be removed from the side of Virtus Pro, weakening a triple strategist composition, while also meaning that when we head to the second and third areas of the map, if it's something like a Star-Lord, a Phoenix, or a Human Torch angle that Virtus Pro rely on, they don't have the drone to be able to pocket them, or the Rage of Ultron to reopen up those spaces.
Yeah, the Rage of Ultron can be a great retake tool here. Maybe one side, Psylocke going to come back through again for the side of Citadel Gaming. I mean, to be fair, Spark is more than comfortable flexing over onto a tertiary strategist.
Does this force the Venom ban now, is what I'm wondering, because
Might
it's
do.
not just symbiotic shenanigans, it's also the anticipation of either Tanuki or Melio accompanying it, especially with the save onto Star-Lord.
Could be real. Star-Lord save. Now what do you have to get rid of, Virtus Pro? Okay, it's going to be the Ultron, making sure there's going to be no pocket up in the air. Ultron taken away from both teams.
So Jeff still gets the Venom. Star-Lord still gets a dive component Vanguard too with that Venom. No Strange targeted, which means that both of these teams are going to be able to either start with Strange if they want to have all of those shields to be able to block things like the Terror Cape coming on through from attacking Cloak and Dagger. We don't typically see Cloak and Dagger in compositions. Currently, she has some niche levels of value, but one of them is when you're attacking on convoy maps, being able to apply that vulnerability onto those Vanguards to instantly take them down and burn out things like that Rocket BRB. So having multiple shields to be able to back you up, given the fact that the ammo was removed, Doctor Strange would then have the more reliable shield to be able to block those connections.
Momentum heavily in favor of Virtus Pro right here. After losing out on attendance at Guangzhou and being the favorite team in the world to attend and possibly to win, they may turn up to Atlanta as the #1 seed from EMEA, the reigning region champion.
Virtus Pro going to be starting on that defense. Citadel Gaming yet again banned out from the Storm. Is it going to be the same story? With that damage boost now being removed, as we saw on Midtown, Polly's gone over to the Wolverine, something that we saw previously, that Melia this time starts on the Phoenix and already sets up a huge stun onto 3 bodies.
Nev extract on in. You can see already, I think, a force physics instantly coming through from Cyber to try and stop that one from coming on through, or potentially a Mad Cannon from Fincy. Nevix just comes up fourth to brawl, and they're more than happy to just try and rub their noses into Citadel Gaming and meet them head on head. Polly still has a little bit of room to work with when it comes to that passive.
Melio's got ult.
Grabbing in Nevix. Melio gets it done up close and personal. Melio might well have the ultimate to try and work with, but Nevix has been raised behind them. A big surprise in the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier as well, but look at how quickly they carve through the end song Inferno, and then Melio is exposed in the midst of Virtus Pro.
Yeah, Sparker manages to put the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier down, and Melio doesn't interact with it flying through in time before he gets taken out, which means that Virtus Pro will rebuff the Phoenix. Citadel Gaming yet again have to go back to their spawn and reapproach into all of this fight, but now they have to do so when Virtus Pro have ultimates built up. Magneto is going to have the Meteor M to deal with Tanuki's Galactic Legend, Saipe the Invisible Boundary to keep up with the Eye of Agamotto damage. It's up to Polly to try and grab the invis out of her ult.
Fincy grabbed already. Potentially the counter here from Ken. Ready to try and eat up all of this back line. Going to look potentially for Nevix. I think they may have actually opted to go into the back and just give over a little bit more. Ken off the edge, potentially. Not quite sure what's going on over there. Wolverine eaten up solo here by Dredro. No stuns gained by Enzo. You saw Nevix draw up a wall to break the LOS from the Eye of Agamotto onto that back line. Big strangling prison. 4 players inside. The stuns are good. 3 souls separated from bodies. And Virtus Pro pulled ever further away from victory, and Virtus Pro decide to carve through Citadel. This is going to be back to the drawing board, surely.
What a strangling prison into Eye of Agamotto follow-up. Citadel Gaming didn't have CC immunity of the Soul Resurgence coming on through. Polly still has that last stand, but the Wolverine is likely going to be pressured. So too is Tanuki on the Star-Lord, as Fi's controlling that angle entirely. Great sedation, but that's going to be broken almost immediately, which brings Saipe back to the fold, and the Wolverine looks for the mic, but he's still got the Bulwark.
It's a self-bubble. Saipe taken down. The Dark Maelstrom's responsible for that one, but guess what? Instant resurrection from the BRB. Fincy can't quite find the Star-Lord. Eyes here onto Polly. Having fallen so low, Fi is isolated, forcing Virtus Pro to back on off. Remember, Fi can TP themselves back in the midst of an emergency, and Nevix might well need that. This is going to be the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier already destroyed. And Eye of Agamotto onto just Saipe this time, but still it's going to be the TP coming on through rather quickly. Sparker returns.
Ken might be able to find the edge, Jeff, as Fire's on the low, but no! the teleport comes through in time, and Virtus.pro get another chance at recontesting.
Well, Fi's already down, and Nevix is isolated elsewhere. Enzo just stands in the doorway, making sure that no one can come on through. One bite to rule them all, and Drijo might well have it. Seems it was a miss right there as Melio takes them on down, and Ken is going to make their own play here, giving a little pool of healing on the floor, and potentially grabbing out Fincy, who seems to have been able to take themselves elsewhere. There's still a little bit of distraction on the cart coming through from Virtus.pro, but in the end, it will be workable for Citadel Gaming. Surely you can't stand up to 6 players laying down their fire, and Tooth Gnasher and Tooth Grinder finally find the objective.
True, but Virtus.pro with just unparalleled aggression run atop of Alex, which means Citadel Gaming don't have the Mantis in a forward position for the Soul Resurgence to take all of the space away from Virtus.pro and snowball into second. Tanuki is going to be in that space with the Galactic Legend, however, and he doesn't have to worry about a Meteoram this time around. Does have to worry that Virtus.pro are just going to be able to bait it out and then disengage. But if you're trying to track down where the Star-Lord is, you're not looking at the Wolverine. And Polly deposits Finzi directly in front of his team, already burning the BRB.
Yeah, big BRB position, though, to at least bring him back fast to be able to capture some of this space in towards the back. The Soul Resurgence is used. Remember, extra movement speed for all of Citadel Gaming. But Fi looks around the back. It's Fincy going to try and mug for Jeff, who will give him a little bit of additional HP. Tanuki takes out Dredro and wants even more. Going after Saipe. No resurrections this time. And now faced with the Venom, is just going to decide to disengage and instead look after Fincy on the back line. Disengagement on the cards here for the Captain America. And it seems like we're going to get out scot-free.
Look at the amount of objective control they've got too, as Virtus.pro have just been forced to disengage. Disengage the Soul Resurgence, disengage the Galactic Legend, and now they don't have ultimates to try and make a play for this high ground hold, which they've been funneled into because of the teleport block coming on through from Enzo. Out comes Galactic Legend from Sparker, Finzi dropping the Freedom Charge so that Virtus.pro have sustainability on the objective, and Kent is going to look for an Eaton to the back line.
Enzo looking for something, but Sparker's already done too much damage. Fi gonna still commit into this. Virtus.pro have used everything for stability. 3 ultimates expended, and Citadel Gaming have been reduced to tattered rags and ruins.
They held on to the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier, though. I'm sure Saipe is going to drop this the second that Melio uses that End Song Inferno, and it's going to be a race between these two teams to see what exactly is going to be able to find the commitment. Nevix, too, with that Feast of the Abyss for the damage boost, might well be able to find a pick. The dive goes on through the Force Physics, but Nevix is already in the ground. The Eye of Agamemnon doesn't catch him as he comes up from the ult.
Oh, Enzo. Nevix, I believe, might have been temporarily stunned there, but was quickly taken back again. Citadel Gaming used 3 ultimates here to try and deal with just Nevix and Saipe. I mean, put anything off the back of it. That was going to be down to raw mechanics coming in with the rage generated previously by Polly. They want to try and get on top of Fincy, and yeah, the damage is there, but is the finish going to be? Indeed, it's Ken with the joyful splash from downtown, and now Nevix is going to be the prime target of the Wolverine, building up towards that. That's a great force physics, but can they finish it off? Yes, Nevix chews through their food, and there's going to be a healing pool to deal with all of this. Enzo can take to the skies, but instead, Dredro is just going to be backing off here with a momentary peel and the healing for the remainder of the team. Tanuki's getting desperate in the back. Oh, that's a big symbiotic shenanigan, but it's quickly carved on through. Saipe's not going to be there either. Yes, Tanuki gets traded on out, but I'm going to call that one worth. Nevix doing their best to arrive on the point. A portal not interrupted in time, and the Eloise isn't even there. Ken can't get it through the portal, and Fi's going to arrive on the point just in time. A hero when you needed it, and Fi's erased on through. The rest of Virtus.pro present themselves inside the invisible boundary of Alex, and we don't want to deal with a slow. It's going to be Sparker wrapping elsewhere. Nevix gets resurrected by the BRB. Fincy stands alone, hopping as best they can with the evasiveness, and it's Sparker on the off angle now with the Galactic Legend, trying to write down in history the names of Virtus.pro. 3 stuns. It's massive here to come on through from the side of a Doctor Strange. Fi separates their souls, and now Virtus.pro discorporate their bodies. Virtus.pro, by an absolute miracle, say that you ain't Dredro, you ain't him. We're the Bears, and we continue to rise.
The fact that they were able to get through that teleport, didn't get eaten by Jeff, and then managed to burn Citadel Gaming into using Invis Boundary, disengage, hold on to Galactic Legend, use Galactic Legend to leverage better position on the objective, forcing Citadel Gaming to hide in the side rooms, which then meant that they were all set up to get connected onto with the backline from Eye of Agamotto. And off of the back of that, there's absolutely no way that they're going to be able to turn it around. Virtus.pro hold on second.
An absolutely manic push, and Citadel just ran out of steam. Virtus Pro's threat assessment, second to none.
We've never seen this from Citadel Gaming either. Whenever they've gone to Yggdrasil path and they've decided to attack first, because remember, they decided to attack first. They wanted to set the momentum. They wanted to establish that they could play this map, that this was their comfort map for a reason. They've either full pushed or gotten to at least third. The fact that they got stalled so close to the end point of second, that one's gonna hurt.
I mean, look at the differences in, like, eliminations and casualties here as well. Ken is yet to fall, but Virtus Pro are just so good at rotating the pressure on that point. And Fire is always somewhere in the back line. Like, you've got to constantly do some admin.
Virtus Pro now going to be holding. How much time can they burn off the bank? Fires on the Widow, looking for a pick onto one of those players who's out in the open, doesn't manage to find it, swaps over to the Phoenix, the pick that I'm sure will be sticking around for a lot longer. As Virtus Pro have all of that damage and dive. Nevix the Venom, Sparker the Starlord, and Deirdre on the Jeff to heal them from afar.
Citadel playing pretty far back here as well. It's going to give over a lot of space for these duelists to work with. Sparker and Fire rewarded for that as Melio's already fallen. Enzo's headed back towards the back line, and Tanuki's taken down by Sparker with a blaster barrage, not having to rely on the accuracy, just positioning alone. The symbolic shenanigans give Sparker all the time he needs to just roll on forward. He's got so much HP to work with, and there's no one else for Citadel. They've just been outmaneuvered in the neutral.
Yeah, I mean, Enzo went over to the objective to try and stall it because that's all that Citadel really could do. Melio's got to go to the Doctor Strange and portal everybody, but that first fight was so one-sided. The closest ultimate that they're going to have is Invis Boundary, and even that is not immediately there. If Sparker manages to find a huge spin as they all come through the portal, he's going to board Galactic Legend first, and it looks actually like Citadel Gaming. They're going to go for a late portal.
All right, portal comes on through. Fire's got a good angle onto it for now, but they will be able to disengage into the safety of the side room. They start to rotate pressure upon the cart. Nevix already has the Feast of the Abyss, by the way, and as it's going to be an attempted eating coming on through, Dredro grabs up their own Venom, I believe, inside of the invisible boundary. It needs to be a dodge away from Alex, and the pressure's not quite there to try and carve through the healing given. Nevix has the extra damage coming through from the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier, but the peeling should be good here, at least temporarily, from Ken. Alex and Ken both fall to Sparker, who finally finds their moment to shine, utilizing a Galactic Legend, finds 3 final hits onto 3 strategists. An absolute masterclass from the Starlord.
Citadel prioritized going for that portal location so that their backline could be safer inside the side room, and like you said, rotating point presence with a lack of ammo to punish all of the Vanguards, but it meant that they were denied 3 potential fights and downsides to the 2. And now Virtus Pro have 4 minutes plus to be able to push the convoy to where it's needed and walk away the winner of the EMEA Ignite Stage 2. And they're already putting the pressure onto Enzo, forcing out all of that resources from the Magneto, which means that it's up to Polly to step up to the plate and stall for the team.
70 grand, the first place seed and glory denied previously. They were kept in their cell like Tai Lung. But finally, a battle that might be legendary. It's Nevix in the back trying to get on top of Melio. Fire's already fallen down to Tanuki. The chase down's good from Sparker here to try and find this backline. The dives are so sublime, but Tanuki's Blaster Barrage is better. And a little bit of rare stability for Citadel.
Yeah, Citadel was split, but half of the team were with Polly, which meant that they had access to the Freedom Charge HP coming on through. Because they won that fight too, they've been able to establish a closer hold for their players to start pushing damage into Virtus Pro as they come through from choke. They've got to tax as much as they possibly can. They need to burn the time bank. Nevix with that Feast of the Abyss puts the pressure onto Magneto, and immediately Melio with the Dance of the Butterfly sees an opportunity when the team split and looks to start putting the dashes in before the bodies are there, but wouldn't eat onto Enzo since he didn't have the bulwark up. He used it before against Nevix's ultimate. The mag is gone.
Enzo opts not to use the Meteor M, thinking the risk was too great and their health was too low, knowing that potentially they could be burned on through while channeling that one. It's Tanuki's turn to try and deal with the cracks in the defense, but now they've just taken so much damage up in the sky. No resurrections this time as Fincy takes out the Battle Recall Beacon, and with Dredro going down, there's a little bit of pressure taken off Citadel.
Dredro comes back though. Virtus Pro still think it's winnable. Out comes the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier mirrored by Alex. So far, no other ultimate's going to be committed in this fight. Enzo holding on to the Meteor and a web of Sparker, rapidly approaching that Galactic Legend as Fi swaps over to the Human Torch to put the pressure onto Citadel Gaming. Heat up the main road with things like the Pyro Prison.
Ken is rapidly approaching your location, but Fi comes even faster. A hot drop, a flash fire to fry the Wayward Shark. Chasing down Melio, he never stood a chance. He was constantly taken out of stealth by the blaster barrage of Sparker, and now one fight is in it, Mox.
Alex goes down, which means no Rocket BRB to bring the players back. It's up to Polly to use the Freedom Charge and clear onto that objective, stalling out long enough for Citadel Gaming. The respawns are so close. The Captain America on the objective running at the back line, but Fi is controlling every single angle of approach that Citadel could take.
Tridro waiting to just try and eat up Enzo, a metallic bulwark. This might be a chance to try and convert here onto Tridro, but manages to escape. Now it's Sparker's turn. Takes to the skies. Wants to write the legend. Is going to carve it in blood if he has to. Write it upon the walls of a cell that once held Virtus Pro. Polly can't make it to the point. 1 meter and 40 expended here as Virtus Pro are so close to their victory. It's sweet in their mouth. They can savor the taste. Melio tries to stop it with Fincy going down. They're so close to taking it, but Virtus Pro are running low on members. They're running low on options. Melio going down is a great start for this one as fires up close and personal. Double damage and even more is laid on down here. A great dodge on the incoming play from a Jeff Falanchar. Ken just has to flee elsewhere. They only got their own teammates, and fire's coming up close and personal. There's more chase coming through. The peel is there from Tanuki, but Fincy's ready to open a portal and try and make this one finish right here and now. Tanuki with the Galactic Legend. We need to keep an eye on the cart. It's rolled back slightly here and now as Enzo opens up their own portal for reinforcements. 40 seconds remain. A blaster barrage on the 4 members of Virtus Pro. They share up the healing with Symbiotic shenanigans are real, and there's still a Supernova in the back half as well. Fire's ready to go with it, and Tridro's ready to remove any of these vanguards. A jump up in the sky as they wait for the landing of a Captain America. An inhospitable environment. 2 allies are grabbed, 1 enemy, 2. It's Enzo with the Eye of Agamotto. He gets nothing off the back of it, and Cyber raises up the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier, but Melio carves on through. It's Sparker's turn now. He takes to the sky. Once more yells out for the legends as Ken's gonna make one of his own right here, trying to eat through all of Virtus Pro. They grab multiple players, and now they need to just get rid of Nevix. In overtime, it's going to be a desperate struggle. Sparker's falling so low, but guess what? Tridro's in the back with a joyful splash. The water type. It's going to be so much damage, but Melio's ready to match it all with the feast, and they're going to try carve as well. Polly falling low, and Melio gets nothing. Up close and personal with the Jeff Falanchar, and Polly's back already. They need to get on the point. There's 3 meters in it, Mox. Now Polly stands alone against 5. In comes the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier. A little bit of additional damage, a little bit of additional healing, a little bit of additional cushioning. Tanuki's got both the healers. They're running on borrowed time. The attrition's everything, and now you've got to build the Citadel. It's brick by boring brick, but there's nothing to be bored with here. At Citadel, they have carved an absolute mythos on Yggdrasil.
Oh boy, that is the most tense overtime we've ever seen. By the skin of their teeth, quite literally. Citadel complete the hold and prevent Virtus Pro's match point. The swaps coming on through, the Rocket BRB, Melio with the Dance of the Butterflies being able to catch 1, and then the Wolverine with the passive as well as that jump so that you can plateau yourself from the choke onto the objective in case one of your vanguards goes down in the interim of you moving forward. Tanuki getting the damage amplifier coming on through from the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier, and Citadel Gaming say goodbye to Virtus Pro sweeping the series. We continue in the match.
We go further, we go harder. And Virtus Pro were denied the easy sweep through. Citadel recapture the magic. They find the clutch gene deep within their genome. They find their telomeres reinforced. And well, Tanuki, what a heroic play to get both of the strategists at the end with the Galactic Legend. The perfect positioning.
Yeah, it's so ironic. Virtus Pro are trying to have that position be as safe as possible for that backline to come on through so that they can get the most amount of value, the most amount of heals, and also push Citadel to have to make a decision. Do you keep the objective pressured with a player, or do you send them out into those sidelines to be able to track down everybody else and give a presence on the objective? And that overtime had been burning so long. If one person went down, Sparker here too, being denied some of these picks as early as he was looking for because of the map geography being mid-bold, and Tanuki just able there with that Galactic Legend, the ultimate that won Citadel Gaming the overtime, has that opportunity to go deep and look for the backline because the Wolverine has absorbed his presence on the objective and still has that passive alive and kicking, and Citadel have reanimated their opportunity to continue this tournament series.
A devious contribution by Loki rebuilding that building. I'm sweating. And I'm sure our teams are as well after that overtime. So we'll be right back after this break. Map number 6 marks, which means we're going through our second rotation of game modes. Only Convergence remains in our second run through. Virtus Pro get to choose where we go to try and close out the series before a biblical map 7.
Yeah, it's some pretty rough choices to have to pick between two. Holo de Jolly, which granted Virtus Pro have the better track record on when it comes to playing, plus it's a very strong map for flying compositions. But on the other hand, Citadel Gaming have been absolutely insane when it comes to sweeping Holo de Jolly first points with Hulk Nemo strategies, just being able to absolutely melt through defense compositions on the first go of things. Then on the other hand, you've got Symbiotic Surface, a map which is very much determined by momentum. So going there is always a challenge because it really does feel like if you go there, you have to have the better mechanicals because you need to win those duels. It's so important that you continue that momentum building, whether you're on the attack or the defense, to hold on to those critical angles.
Yeah, like, there are so many things that need to be considered here, and VP don't have a huge backroom stuff to really lay that at the door of, so there's a lot of tax on their players who are making these decisions in the moment. I know they have EQO in the backroom staff, and they have Blaney as their manager, but I think the EQO is a little bit busy elsewhere at the moment, so a lot of this is going to be falling on Nevix's shoulders.
Yeah, and you also have to remember that Virtus Pro also just went through an incredibly traumatic overtime that went nearly 2 minutes where they were so close for that entire time. And it looked, especially since we actually saw Citadel forced into using both of their Vanguard ultimates at the same time to guarantee that they could get safely onto the objective with the Freedom Charge and stall it long enough for the reinforcements to come on through from literally their respawn room. They didn't get the opportunity to portal on through, which meant free Galactic Legend. That should have been it. Crucially, should have been it. So for Virtus Pro, they know that they had the upper hand. Going into that overtime, they now have to just entirely reset and come into this next map fully fresh, because as we said, it's their pick of the choice, and we go into ban draft, which is something you absolutely cannot get wrong.
Given that we're not in band draft yet, I assume our teams need to breathe even more than I did after that. I mean, there's only so many times you can try and reposition yourselves against, the 6 Galactic Legends we saw come out in that fight? That was crazy from Sparker and Tanuki. And of course, they could just kind of free farm the damage when everyone's that clustered up around the cart. The Blaster Barrage goes absolutely wild in those close spaces. And here we are. Virtus Pro remain on match point. Question is, will they be able to recover from Citadel stealing one out from under them?
Just saying, there is a potential for an 8-map series. Because we could see a draw, this being convergence. This could very well be either a full hold into full hold or a full push into full hold. Given how well both of these teams have been playing this series, all of the Jalier is going to come on through. Virtus Pro are going to be instantly banning out that Jeff. And I mean, here it really has been counting the Citadel Gaming, as they've loved to run the symbiotic shenanigans with an add-on Warlock and literally just walk on a defensive team to be able to buy themselves point presence for free.
True, just going to have access to the Jeff themselves as well. Remember that last Hall of Jali up against Na'Vi, Virtus Pro did have their issues. Citadel Gaming probably were in a warm-up scrim at the time, but Salah may have been keeping an eye on how that went down. Maybe had a scout to try and feed back any information about Virtus Pro's current loadout.
Well, they go for the save on the Star-Lord. They know the Hall of Jalier is very much a bread and butter map when it comes to flyer compositions. And Phi, we've been seeing on the Human Torch an awful lot. So too have we seen Sparker on that Star-Lord. So by eliminating both the Ultron for Virtus Pro's opportunity and saving the Star-Lord for themselves, they're very much weakening that angle of composition for Virtus Pro to have to go over to, potentially trying to force them onto a triple strategist line or a dive composition, which they can then counterplay with something like a Namor, Hulk, or Phoenix.
Star-Lord guaranteed and taken out of rotation. An uneven Star-Lord here for the side of Citadel, but it does mean that maybe they have to... Oh, they are going to potentially face an uneven Emma?
Virtus Pro have removed the Phoenix too, which has been one of the answers that Citadel Gaming have liked to go for when Virtus Pro play stacked in terms of their defense positions. One-sided Ultron is actually what Citadel Gaming are going to prioritize. Rage of Ultron does build incredibly quickly, plus it can be used to counterplay the Jeff, and that is going to be a big component of these fights. Virtus Pro not only getting the Jeff to try and displace players, but also stopping the strange portals from coming on through, as Virtus Pro now start targeting out Polly's hero pool. Away goes the Emma, away goes the Cap, potentially trying to force him over to the Venom.
And now what's the last protect going to be here? Yeah, I think the Venom would probably be a good protect, especially... Oh, okay, it's going to be the Psylocke, giving Sparker that option to try and deal with the aerial threat that is the Ultron. That's a great way to try and make sure that there's always going to be some real danger that the Ultron has to consider.
Is it the Luna or is it the Emma? Something that's going to mean that this Psylocke is going to be having far more value. That would be the band that I would expect to see, but it's the Venom actually, so that they don't get symbiotic shenanigans, given the fact as well that they were banned out of the EMEA themselves. They wouldn't have the Carbon Crush to be able to prevent Virtus Pro from just aggressively walking forward themselves.
Yeah, to try and stop them in their tracks. Fincy's actually been lights out on the Cap today, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
We have so much polyglaze in our hearts because bro kind of is like a Vanguard GOAT. But Fincy's been lights out on this pick as well, which isn't really what Fincy's known for, but might soon be.
Citadel Gaming, though, they put stock in having both the Star-Lord and the Ultron. It saved them in the overtime. That Star-Lord really did come out to the play. We got to see Tanuki absolutely flexing his duelist prowess. Now he's going to get even more of a pocket, and they're going to start on the defense too, which means that they're already going to have those angles. They can scout out Virtus Pro's approach and figure out whether or not it's going to be a split dive, whether or not it's going to be the team just trying to brute force through main and look to cut them off.
All right, Sipper sent out a couple of mines, no doubt, to try and destabilize Citadel. As we get ready for our first assault here, Virtus Pro are going to be meeting Citadel potentially up at this window.
Is Virtus Pro going to go for the Angela so that they can full wrap around right side? They've been denied the Venom. However, the Angela is still going to be able to take that angle, but Tanuki should be able to scout it out on that Star-Lord. We can actually see that Nevix is going to be playing from main instead.
Yep, Nevic's almost playing like main Vanguard-esque, just making sure all of his space is available. Polly knows that alongside Tanuki, they can keep this Angela at bay to try and open up a little bit of space for the remainder of their team. You can see that Nevix is constantly building up the charge on that weapon to make sure that the poke on Tanuki is substantial. A very safe usage of a Blaster Barrage here and straight back into cover. Tanuki's just trying his best to play this annoyingly.
Yeah, Tanuki has to deal, though, with Nevix, who's making it really hard for that Starlord to capitalize off of the space created by his Venom. So Galactic Legend's building up a little bit slower than we would expect. Dritter already almost having Soul Resurgence up. And we've still got to worry about the Angela in the backline, putting the pressure onto both the Rocket and that Ultron. Out comes the invisible boundary from Citadel. Force Physics trying to pull Virtus Pro into it, but the disengage is directly into the Starlord.
Yeah, Fincy had the perfect popping of the Diamond Form there as well to avoid being pulled in by the Force Physics. CC immunity includes the pulls.
Citadel Gaming still holding onto that space. Might look for a little bit more, given the fact that Melio has Rage of Ultron, but that CC immunity is going to come in absolutely clutch when it comes to avoiding any presence bought for Virtus Pro from Sonic Seduction. Sparker gives up 50% of ult, goes over to the Starlord to put the pressure onto the Starlord. There's the Sonic Seduction, emboldened by Soul Resurgence, but Melio has the means to heal it.
Oh, Alex wasn't healed on through, though. Must have fallen through the cracks. Gets quickly revived here by the BRB as Polly looks in towards the backline. Feast of the Abyss. Hunger in his eyes and malice in his heart. Enzo ready to strike on through. The Meteor gets two! Where did they come from? He just sniffs out Saipe. I smell myself a challenger. I smell myself an upstart. I smell myself a trip to the spawn room.
Oh, and Polly's just going to go aggressive to slow Virtus Pro down. That does mean an opportunity, though, for Saipe to look for a Force Physics. Interestination from Jutro. Spark is going to chase after the Venom, but Polly is still going to be able to make it out, and immediately you can see the battery, the ultimate charge going up for Alex so he can build up Invis Boundary and have it. As Fi's moved over to the Human Torch, no pocket from an Ultron or a Luna. Is going to be Guardian Shield Stagger and the Invis Woman team up coming on through so he can try and play against the Venom.
Yeah, he's going to be very vulnerable after using that hot drop to getting shut down by Tanuki. The Galactic Legend going to be hungering for the body of Johnny Storm. Snevix rolls on up through the high ground, knowing that they can at least force Polly out through raw DPS, and Fire waits for the opening to be made. It's Fincy going in towards the back. Hot drop has been used. That's a big cooldown that Tanuki's going to be monitoring here as Polly chomps through the back line. In comes a singular target for the Dance of a Butterfly.
Galactic.
Good play from Spark, but the BRB is still there. Drujo's already down, looking for any of these squishier targets. As the Guardian Shield is raised up in front of the Vanguard, so Tanuki can't really convert on much more than what they've already found. Still down on Drujo. The healing's not going to be sublime. Sparker and Saipe join the graveyard, and there's no Monster Reborn to be played right here. Instead, it's Monster to be staggered as Nevix is picked apart from all sides.
I was going to say, Virtus Pro need to lose the fight now. They get one other opportunity to try to regroup and make a play for this. Saipe goes over to the Rocket to have the BRB, but Alex has the invisible boundary. Virtus Pro, because of the time, are soon going to have very little choice but to walk directly into it on the point fight. Melio with the Rage of Ultron is going to slow their approach down even further, forcing the Freedom Charge off of the objective. And Citadel just taxing the ultimates before we turn our attention to the overtime.
Polly takes so much damage right now, but it's going to help to build up towards the next Rage of Ultron. Opening comes through from the side of Nevix. Can't quite grab anyone right now. The Guardian Shield got in the way. A momentary pool of healing left on the floor by Dredro, ready to try and swallow up the opposition, but they're fighting after Tanuki, and they can't catch up to how fast the Star-Lord is. Instead, just grasping their own Vanguard. Polly prepares for a re-engagement. No chance of it being eaten this time as Enzo ascends to the sky. He wishes to reign above it all and lay down the law imperiously upon Virtus Pro. They have sustainability, courtesy of Vasia, and they've also got the respawns coming on through with the help of the portal. Fincy to the back. They really want Alex. Spark just starts to cut on through again. Alex is going to be the primary target, finishing the ult prematurely, moving over onto Ken. They know that BRB was back there. They can't interrupt it in time. Virtus Pro, though, they have the performance on the point and get the cap.
Yeah, the Dance of the Butterflies was all about just splitting the strategists from the fight going on the objective with the Vanguards. Didn't even need to find the elimination. Virtus Pro just needed one more tick to be able to find themselves moving into second, and they're able to get it from that split. Now they get to move on to a position, though it's not uncontested. Tanuki on that Star-Lord already there. Polly at his side to make sure that the Star-Lord gets to use the Galactic Legend before Virtus Pro board an ultimate up to stop it.
Polly looks towards the point, is going to make a maneuver towards the back line. Already has to use a symbolic resilience for soft dive. May have made it a little bit of an easier target for Tanuki, but still everyone's managed to scatter effectively from a Galactic Legend channel by Tanuki. And so
The momentum's gone though. Virtus Pro lost the momentum, and now the dive comes through yet again. Melio with the Rage of Ultron is going to continue dispersing Virtus Pro's push, so they don't get to use this Emerald ultimate to move forward.
That's going to be Sonic Seduction coming through from the Emma, noting that the eventual usage of the Rage of Ultron was over, but Sparker was looking for something in the back line and couldn't quite find it. Nevix forced to bring up the shield and also use their own resources to try and get away. Tridro super low. Will get resurrected, of course, by the Battle Recall Beacon, but I think that this one might already be too far gone for side of Virtus Pro. Could find themselves staggered in this tiny area.
Oh, yep. They're definitely going to go for it. Forces the Freedom Charge. The fact that Tanuki got the full pocket from the mag bubble. And that means now that the Captain America has to turn and make this work. Runs directly into Citadel Gaming. Forces Ken into burning out that rocket. Cosmic Yawn Amplified. Does Polly try to go for the damage boosted Feast of the Abyss? Out comes this Jeff, and there goes Trevor with the Meteor Ram.
Unfortunately, also ate the only ally who could possibly have deflected the Meteor Ram in this case. Nevix, yeah, building up the charge, but down on Tridro. Virtus Pro going to be lacking in sustainability, and Fincy's found that out the hard way. A kick into the wall for Polly, but the punishment only makes him more keen to try and exact revenge on Nevix. Trying to punish with disengage, and they might well do so. Good body block coming through from the Vanguard. Nevix will find himself overwhelmed. The healing's there, but it's not enough.
Alex is taking pressure though from somewhere. Virtus Pro are trying to find this pick onto the Invis woman so they can force out Invisible Boundary. Finzi doesn't have the Freedom Charge either to pay Virtus Pro's approach onto the objective. Citadel Gaming are going to let them walk forward so they can use their ultimates uncontested. Out comes the Galactic Legend. There's the Guardian Shield staggered down to the Butterflies, fully healed through with the Invisible Boundary. And Virtus Pro, they've got the Ensong Inferno, but Harry, there's no other damage afterwards.
Yeah, there's no damage to try and deal with it. Sparker towards the back does not have the healing, does not have the sustainability. A Blaster Barrage is all you need, and the Element Guns to finish it off. Fincy arrives on the point, a timely manner indeed, but going up against 6, Freedom cannot stand. He might be able to do this all day in his mind, but his body gives out before his mind breaks, and Virtus Pro were held on second.
It was all about the soft dives. Citadel Gaming being able to disperse Virtus Pro. Managing to reclaim the space, first with the Galactic Legend, then with the Venom, pressuring the Emma into burning Sonic Seduction at a position which was so far off of the objective. Citadel Gaming could just disengage around the corner, and there was no way that Virtus Pro would be able to close up the distance. Sparker gets picked as well at the same time, which frees up so much more pressure from the shoulders of Melio and Tanuki, who can then go so much more aggressively against Virtus Pro once the Emma ultimate is finished, and from there, they never get the opportunity to recover. Citadel are constantly pressuring every single moment that they walk up, and this is where you start to feel concerned for Virtus Pro deciding to take us to Hall of Dejalia, because Citadel Gaming in the past have taken all of first in one singular fight so incredibly quickly.
30 seconds before you
Yeah, their executions on first are not to be underestimated. And it feels like Citadel Gaming, they might try and continue this pressure point if we go to a 7th map of getting the one-sided Star-Lord. Virtus Pro, though, they would have their pick of a litter when it comes to both game modes and basically maps. Any that we haven't played before would be on the table.
Virtus Pro are going to be putting all of their resources into the Human Torch. We can see it here. It's going to have the Mantis damage boost. It's going to have the Idle Aura from that Lunar Snow and the Guardian Shield, plus the team-up armor coming on through from the Phanta Force supplied by Saipe. They're either going to win with the Human Torch or they're going to lose with the Human Torch, because Tanuki and Melio are going to be looking to challenge that every single time they make a play forward.
Tanuki and Polly waiting out for now. Rocket Network ready to go, and Phi noted on the approach. The Guardian Shield already expended. Polly looks to try and get a little bit of an approach elsewhere. Just distribute that attention equally among the dive directions until maybe Melio and Tanuki can make a move together onto Phi. You can see just how evasive he is up on the high ground. Has already popped his team up as well. Gets the Bulwark, the full pocket onto the back to keep Phi up. Big Force Physics to try and stop the disengagement of Polly, and the Carbon Crush as well. Everyone just levies the weapons they have against Polly. Great play from Sparks, from Saipe and Fincy to make sure there are no resurrections or no second chances. The resurrections there at least. Sentience grabbed here. A quick push away for Fincy.
Fi having to reposition, getting fully pressured, not just by the Start on the Ultron, but by the Venom too for control of Garage. Nevix gets pushed back with the Force Physics. Slowly, Virtus.pro are being pushed back towards Slope, but they're building up ultimates and managing to peel the dive. Turns the attention to deal with the Venom. Out comes the Cosmic Ion Amplifier from Citadel, sensing an opportunity, and Saipe has to stop it. The invisible boundary comes through, and the Cosmic Ion Amplifier is burned.
Fincy Duri taking this space, though, with 100 charge on the beam. There's going to be a lot of damage to try and deal with. The Rage of Ultron from Melio is counteracted by Fincy. CC immune, so it can be audacious with their positioning and get rid of the remainder. But Poly finds themselves alone, and the healing wasn't quite delivered. And now you've got to really give away this space to Fincy because he's just unstoppable with this much charge.
Tanuki is going to have the Galactic Legend by the Supernova, definitely going to be the target, but you have to worry about Meteoran being able to absorb it, and either Sparker or Dridro providing the ultimate to keep the Human Torch intact. Polly has to go on through and force something, dives into the backline, has the Feast of the Abyss, looks for the hit, forces out the Supernova and the Soul Resurgence as Enzo uses the Meteoran to absorb it.
Okay, a little bit wide right there, Enzo, but hey, it at least deterred Fi for a moment. And Fi getting up close and personal now to Polly, feeling comfortable moving up against that Venom. It seems like Citadel are running low on time already. Half their time bank is gone. There is a Galactic Legend in the back to try and play with. But you got to worry about Nevix's potential counter here with the Meteor M. The backline under siege, and Polly once more is dragged on back. Their control of Polly's dives is sublime.
First tick has been picked up though for Citadel Gaming. Out comes the Meteor M to absorb the Rage of Ultron. Tanuki is going to get a free path for Galactic Legend when Stridro's ultimate is done.
Yep, Tanuki has the option, pops the ultimate, looks towards the backline. The invisible boundary already used, and so Tanuki's just going to call this one, knowing that Polly's down. They can't really convert on the damage. They can't burst through the healing that's available. The Cosmic Yarn Amplifier from Ken, even while down on Polly. It's bravery from Citadel here, but it will at least ensure them against the damage coming through from Fincy. Melio still can't stand up to the damage, and Citadel, they're running low on time, and they're running low on options.
That's why they use the Cosmic Ion Amplifier, because now Virtus.pro have control of corner. Fi is going to be able to get so much pressure to build Supernova onto the point objective. Tanuki goes over to the Human Torch off of the Star-Lord. He's going to look to just use the Ultron as well as the pressure that Torch can bring to the Vanguards to give Citadel Gaming any opportunity of establishing themselves on the objective.
Down to 30 seconds.
Polly, patience runs through his veins. But Fi has the fury of the stars within him, the Supernova good to go. As they look towards their counterpart, it's equal trades up in the sky as they play for the positioning. Fi takes themselves there, and Enzo looks for the big bomb. Can't get it off the back of the Meteor M. There's too much pocket going through onto Fi. Polly plays around the peripheries. 5 seconds remain. Into the back with a Feast of the Abyss. They need to carve through the backline of Virtus.pro. They rebuff it easily, though, with the Soul Resurgence. It's Melio's turn to return now. They get through the overhealth with ease. They desperately want to take out Spark, and Nevix would also do as a secondary option. Nevix looks towards the sky. The captain has arrived. A Fate of Both Worlds is popped by Alex and Dridro in tandem as well. Melio's down. It's Fi to the back, and Ken is isolated. He's so far away from this one, but Cyber raises up the invisible boundary on top of Citadel. They're too slowed. They can't make it back. Melio's going to have to come on through the portal from elsewhere now, but guess what? Fincy's got the Sonic Seduction good to go. Melio's going to have to try and cut it off surely when it comes to this, but no one makes it there. Virtus.pro, they hold strong on first with the will of stone and the unbreakable determination of an exploding star. They claim themselves EMEA.
A win delayed on Yggdrasil, but cemented on Hall of Dejalia. Finzy walks away with the MVP, but the MVP in that last fight, it's Saipe. The fact that they were able to hold on to that invis boundary through so much pressure, to have it when we went into the overtime fight after all of the ultimates had been exchanged, and put it onto the objective, finding this low into Citadel Gaming when there was no other ultimate left, to let them hold that position inside it. The Luna ultimate had long been mirrored. And that is Virtus.pro walking away, finally, the title that they've been looking for since the beginning of the year. We got to see so many different compositions come through from them, but it feels oh so fitting that they finish off the series on the heroes that we've long known them for.
Oh, Virtus.pro. It was a slow ascent up the granite stairs to don themselves atop the throne that was once in their name. We called this team the best in the world. We assumed that the world title would be theirs at Guangzhou, and they never managed to make it. But now, DreamHack awaits, and that dream is going to be accompanied by a first seed from EMEA. Virtus Pro are your champions.
Tell you what, this team must be feeling so redeemed in their decision to keep the team the same.
Yeah.
To instead of bringing new talent in and thus having to, I call it sandcastling, where you're trying to build a team and then everything falls apart and you bring new things in. Just like the tide washes away all of the foundations that you've built in the sand, you have to begin all the way from the beginning. Rebuilding synergy, rebuilding game plans, having your coach as well, literally teaching every single bit of map macro all anew. Virtus Pro decided no. Instead of looking to rebuild and letting the tide wash away what was previously, they fortify instead. From sand, they turn to stone as a foundation. They've finally been able to find that crown.
Let's talk to one of the oldest members of this team as well in Fincy. Actually, the newest member of this roster, I believe, having replaced Doge. Congratulations on finally getting your crown, brother.
Thank you, thank you. We did it finally.
It feels like we've been waiting for you guys to ascend these steps forever. How did this match go down compared to the winners finals? What really made the difference in VP versus Citadel?
I mean, I think we just woke up in a good mood today because we also kind of stumped Navi the game before, and our comms and our playstyle and like our dive was insane today. So I think we just all woke up like in a really good mood, playing good.
So what's been the work that's been done in the back end of things? Because one of the things that we've always seen from Virtus Pro is that in MLC with the universal bans, you guys dominate. But then when you come into Ignite, the one-sided bans, there's been a little bit of a stumble here and there. How exactly did you guys clean up your ban format?
I mean, honestly, just a lot of WOT review, a lot of theory crafting, and yeah, just a lot of work, basically. I mean, our bans today were really good, I think. I think we outdrafted Citadel hard, especially like on Midtown. They had no clue what to do when we banned their Storm last, because they usually go like Jeff, NATO and stuff, like we saw yesterday. So I think we outdrafted them hard today.
Is there a final authority in your team when it comes to the bans in-game? Is there someone who's mostly in charge of that?
No, we all just talk about it, and then sometimes there's like 1 second left and we decide on a ban, and Alex has to like click on it so fast. But I mean, we mostly talk about it before, but then sometimes like, because sometimes the enemy team does something unexpected with a save or a ban, so sometimes you have to talk about it mid-game too.
Was there any strategy that you guys had been holding on to surprise your opponent? We got to see things like the Angela plays coming on through, as well as the Human Torch, the Star-Lord, and the Psylocke, which we would kind of expect from you guys given the fact of how predominant you've been in the past. Was there a composition that Citadel had no idea you had in the back pocket that you'd been preparing for this moment?
No, I wouldn't say we were like hiding any comps. Just if we played any new comps today, it's just because we think it's the best comp in that moment, and maybe that moment hadn't come before in the match. So we just always play what's best. We don't really hide stuff. We just play what we think is gonna work.
Now you're headed to Atlanta for DreamHack for the first LAN for Virtus Pro. Is there any team internationally you guys would really like to play against?
I mean, Envy and FlyQuest especially, because I like the other two best teams in the world. So now we already beat Navi and Citadel, so now I want to also beat Envy and FlyQuest.
Do you have anything that you want to say to your fans who've been supporting you? Because you guys have been a team literally since the beginning, essentially, of Marvel Rivals esports. So do you have, taking this opportunity, the moment to speak to everyone who's been there always cheering for Virtus Pro?
Yeah, I mean, we see in every chat and every like corner of the community, we see we have a lot of support and a lot of people love us. So I want to thank everyone for all the support you give us. And I want to thank my family and friends and my teammates, of course, and of course Virtus Pro for believing in us after we didn't do great last time when we didn't qualify for China. But I'm happy they believed in us and gave us a bigger chance to show people what we're worth.
All right, that belief was well placed, and you have earned your crown finally, Fincy. Best of luck in Atlanta, and make sure that you win it for us. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Reigning champion Vanguard, Fincy.